Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully your day is going well. If you can, please share the link. We begin starting momentarily. Appreciate it.
The negative talk every day, just because people know they can, and so they're gonna talk every night and day. And if you think they're gonna stop, you'll be waiting for a while. So let that noise go in one ear, now the other. Yeah, let that noise go in one ear, now the other. And don't give up, yeah.
Once again, welcome everybody. Hopefully your day is going well. If you can, please share the link. We begin starting momentarily. Appreciate your patience.
Watch that noise flee. I can't hear you. Where the noise at now? I can't hear you. Where you go at now? I can't hear you. Where the noise at now? I can't hear you. Where you go at now? I can't hear you. Watch how you walk every day, so they won't have.
Once again, for anybody coming in, we're about to get started in about 20 seconds. If you can, please share the link. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Every night and day. So when the Lord comes, you won't be put to shame. Oh, so let that noise go in one ear, now the other. Yeah, let that noise go in one ear, now the other. And don't give up, yeah. Oh, let that noise go in one ear, now the other. Yeah, oh, no railing for railing, continue in faith and watch that noise flee. I can't hear you.
Once again, hopefully your afternoon is going well. If it's your first time joining here, I'm Pastor Jay. This is kind of midday talk session, if you want to say. But you guys see the title on the thumbnail. Before I get into anything, we're going to go ahead and open up with prayer, and then we'll get into today's discussion. Heavenly Father, Yahweh, we just thank you for your mercy, allowing your people to gather together from around the world through this medium to hear the reminder of the gospel and how we should walk and how should we deal with one another and how we should live. And so, Lord, ask that you open up the hearts, minds, and ears of the brothers and sisters listening to me today. Give me the physical strength and spiritual strength to relay this message to the brothers and sisters, that we may all be of one mind, intent, and purpose, all walk the same way, for we all share the same mind, which is the mind of Christ, and the same spirit, which is the spirit of Christ. And so, Lord, we just thank you for these things. Pray you keep us all from the spirit of hypocrisy and from walking in a way contrary to the gospel. And so, Lord, we just thank you for all these things in your son, Yeshua of Nazareth's name. Amen. All right, brothers and sisters, hopefully your day is going well once again. If it's your first time joining over here, I'm Pastor Jay. And so I want to talk to you guys. You guys see the thumbnail and see what it's about. So this is a response I want to give to Berean YouTube channels, BereanTV, and company. And that company just includes a plethora of people and individuals. So I just put in company, so whomever it fits. But though it is many things, and I'm not going to be able to get to everything today, and I might not ever deal with everything, but there's something that happened a couple of days ago that kind of was like, man, come on, man, it's enough now. And it was stemming around Mother's Day. All right. And there were some things that were said. There was some slanders. There was some much evil that took place. And it's not a rare thing. It's a common thing. But at what point is it like enough? How many excuses are you going to keep hearing? And so what I want to do is the the thing that kind of started it all is not available anymore. It was taken down. But let me give a little context to that before I play this updated thing. So this previous Sunday, obviously, we know was Mother's Day, and so Berean was live. I forgot what he was talking about. He was talking about something, but I wasn't there at the beginning. Apparently, at the beginning or somewhere along the beginning, maybe there was some speech given about you can't speak against Mother's Day, and whoever speaks against Mother's Day is going to be blocked and all this other stuff. Y'all know how the brother can get. So, of course, I ain't hear that. I wasn't there. So I came in later on. When I came in, he was playing a documentary about the origins of Mother's Day. All right. And so he played it. And he went into the origins. I don't know if it's the same exact one, because I wanted to play the exact same one, but the one that I got says the same information. So it's a little short video from the History Channel on the history of Mother's Day. And so I want to play it because of something that's going to be said in it. But anyway, synopsis speaking, right? Now in the crowd that is over there on Berean's channel, you got people all over the place. You got people who deny Christ. You got people who accepts Christ. You got people who talking about Christ ain't God. People who say Christ is God. You got a mixed multitude over there. All right. And at any moment, one sentence can send off a war, right? And so, but they call themselves a community. They're a community of mixed up individuals that's always at war with each other at any drop of a dime, right? It's not the kind of community God wants, but it is a community nonetheless. So the video was played about the documentary, the history of Mother's Day. For those of you that follow the ministry, or maybe it's your first time, and you wondering what I think about Mother's Day. Do I celebrate it? No, I don't celebrate it at all. I don't esteem the day at all. None of the members among the body in the congregation here, we don't esteem it at all. We avoid it on purpose. All right. And we're going to get into that because there was a question asked to me. I didn't say it. I was asked the question. All right. Now that I know there was some pre-speech made, this actually makes it a little bit worse than what I was originally going to say, because if there was a speech made, and I believe his testimony, that he testified and said, so I believe there was a statement or a sentence or whatever made at the beginning that, hey, today we're going to honor these black queens, and anybody that come against that, you're just going to have to be blocked. We're going to honor them today, blah, 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 how you can get. And so, fine, right? If that, you don't want nobody to come against it or whatever. Okay. But then you yourself play a documentary about the origins of the day you don't want nobody to come against. And if anybody come against it, you're going to throw them out and block them and stuff. You yourself play it, the thing on your own stream, and it literally condemns the thing you don't want nobody to come against. So I made a statement. All right. I said, man, look at that. I can't remember verbatim because I wanted to pull it up on the screen so I could just read it, but he had took it down or whatever. But in a roundaboutish way, what I said is go figure. Even the founder of Mother's Day was opposed to it. And then I made a statement. I furthered that statement as to why I said it is because the feast known as Mother's Day today is all hypocritical. It's all hypocrisy. It's vain. It is anti the Lord. All right. The feast of Mother's Day is against the Lord. That's what I'm saying. The feast of Mother's Day. I ain't talking about what you thinking in your own little personal mind about your parents. I ain't talking about what's wrong with getting your mama a present or anything like that. The feast of Mother's Day is against the Lord. And so even the founder, who was a Christian, by the way, even the founder of the tradition was opposed to the holiday, which you guys are going to see in a minute. I never knew that. I never knew who even started the thing. That's why I was so, when he played it, I was like, oh, wow, look at that. Even the founder of the person hated it. So anyway, so I made a statement, but I made a statement after that, stating how it's hypocritical because the Lord commands us in his commandments, in his law, and how we should live and treat our parents, and think that if we're going to obey the Lord, we honor our parents, or should honor our parents every day. Now, every day you ain't going to shower them with gifts and presents and all the other stuff, all right? Because the Lord, when he talks about honoring your mother and your father, he doesn't talk about it in that kind of way, in a vain way. Shower them with presents, give them cards and greetings and broadcast them before the world and put them up, on a plateau for today. Like, he doesn't speak of it like that. And so if men obeyed the Lord, they would never find any special reason to have a particular day they want to further exalt them or a particular one up. Because it ain't Parents' Day, it's Mother's Day. And then we already know that even the heathens say the fathers get the short end of the stick, even in their national holiday. But even still, it's not Parents' Day, it's Father's Day. And then it's not, it's my birthday, it's my day. And you put yourself up on that thing, everybody worships you for a day, shower you presents, it's all about you, right? And so everybody want to feel special. But when we obey the Lord's command and honor each other the way the Lord says and honor our parents, as he said, it doesn't require us to do anything like that. So where does this idea and this conscience and this barrenness that creates this pressure that since the world decided they want to esteem people on a certain day, now if you don't participate, you look at some kind of way. Like, bro, do you really love your mama, man? You don't really love your mama, man. Everybody, you don't snap pictures all day, all year, and throwing it online, take your mom out to dinner. You don't broadcast that any other normal days. But Mother's Day, all of a sudden, everybody got camera out, taking pictures of their parents, and give this whole life story backdrop, and taking them to a restaurant, and it's all about them, getting them a cake and all this other stuff, showering with presents, and now you want to, what y'all did for me when I was a little, man, like, stop it, man. All that is men's vain tradition. Makes you look good outwardly, but the Lord is looking at, what do you do every day? Because when he says honor your mother, father, that's what he meant. So, but the point is that, so I mentioned that, right? And Berean goes off and blah, 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 blah. And he started to accuse and slander me, talking about what kind of spirit I had and all this stuff. But he made a statement that they were going to go live like 2 hours later because the rabbi or Elder Green, the one that with that thing on his head, was going to be coming on there to like answer questions or whatever. So I heard that, but I left because I had to take care of some other stuff. So I didn't stick around after he blew up, right? So the afternoon come, I forgot he was even going live. I didn't get no notification that he was on or anything like that. So another minister was like, "Hey man, Berean mad at you." I was like, "What? Mad at me about what?" So he come back and was like, something about Mother's Day. I'm like, man, bro, he's still mad about that. And so the brother sent me the clip, which I'm going to play for you guys. I'm actually playing a little bit longer than the section he sent me. But so you guys can hear a couple of things. And this ain't about so much what he said about me. I mean, whatever. We do have to take notice of what he said about me. But Brian heard about it. But the point is that it's the other stuff that happened around it. Because this is stuff like, quite honestly, tell you the truth, bro, I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of this evil that gets to go on and everybody think it's funny. Y'all laugh about idols. Y'all joke about all kind of manner of evil stuff. I've never been around a group of Christians who literally dishonor each other, disgrace each other, talk trash about each other in jokey ways, and they think it's love. I've never seen people take jabs at each other and call it love. I ain't gonna say I've never been around that because I grew up in the black neighborhoods. But the point is that among believers, I've never seen y'all degrade one another's characters and say y'all community and y'all love one another and y'all following after Christ and y'all. I've never been around a bunch of people that do this. I've never been around a group of people who profess to believe and fear the Lord and got all this great stuff to say, who argue about what the future going to be, and they believe this is going to be the case, this is what Israel going to get, this is what Israelites is. Like, I've never been around people that talk so much about those things and then esteem idol. Matter of fact, they'll wear the idols on their garments in front of you while they're talking about those things. They're on their walls. They got Bastet, and they got Predator, and they got Thor, and they got Thanos on the wall showing you what they love, but nobody says nothing. Nobody say nothing. There's community, blah, blah, blah. We don't agree, you see about everything. You got ministers among you that literally train fighters to fight and beat each other up for a living, and nobody says anything because they sit there like this and seem deep and can quote you all these passages. and y'all sit there and jab at each other over and over and over again. And then what's the excuse? Y'all know how ignorant I can be. Y'all know how ignorant. You know, I just be ignorant sometimes. You ignorant all the time. You ignorant all the time. That's the normal thing. Everybody just knows that. So at what point is this enough going to be enough? What I saw took place not yesterday. Well, I saw it yesterday, I think. But what I saw took place that I'm about to show you guys. At this point, I was like, bro, I don't care if I got blocked to the outer darkness. That don't matter to me. What just took place in front of my sight was so evil. I don't see how Elder Green, all right, being an elder of the Lord, could have had sat there and allowed what took place and not give no public rebuke. Instead, make it jokey mannered. And it's some light issue. What is it? All right, because this is the root of the problem. That's why I said this is response to Berean TV and company. The Mother's Day controversy would kind of set this all off. All right, when y'all go take this faith serious as you should. Stop worrying about culture, and try to push culture on us and try to make us accept you're Israelite or you're Jew and you dipping fingers in cups and doing all this particular stuff in the name of Christ when this kind of stuff is going on and everybody think it's jokey manner. Everybody think it's a joke. And then you get these ministers call on there after while you do this evil stuff, talking about man of God. Where's the character of the man of God at? At what point? So this was what was done yesterday. Apparently they went live to talk about something else, some questions, random questions people gonna ask Elder Green. But Elder Green got on there and said, Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, blah, blah, blah. And that sets Berean off again from something that took place hours ago that really wasn't even said the way that it happened. That's why I wish that the other thing was still on this so I could show you guys. But I have to deal with what I just have. All right. And so this is what took place. All right. So let me put this on the screen. I want you to listen very carefully to every word that was said. Christ said, every idle word will be accounted for on the day of judgment. Y'all keep thinking things is game, bro. It ain't really no game. Y'all love sports too. Y'all think God like y'all, and this is just entertainment. It ain't no big problem. It's just a game. God don't think that way. So you must be careful how you act, how you talk, and the words that come out of your mouth. All right. And as former pastor, former elder, whatever Berean was in the past, there's no reason that him, after having that experience, all right, and been walking with the Lord, at least by profession, as long as he has, and with the platform that he has and influence that he has over the brothers and sisters that come over there and esteem him, that he should continually do this over and over again and allow for the evils that he allows for, the heretics he allows for, the foolish rabbit hole trail conversations that he keeps allowing, and this ignorant talk that he keeps doing, and then just say, y'all just know how ignorant I can be. Y'all know how it is, and got these brothers and sisters following up this kind of stuff. All right. And so this is not, even if you're not a current pastor or elder, our conduct should, you don't have to be an elder to have a life above reproach. Matter of fact, every person that qualified to be an elder or anything like that, their lives was to be lives above reproach before they can be appointed. So just because you don't have that title, that don't mean that you don't have that character. All right. You must have that character before you ever get appointed. So at what point are you other elders around him not just going to hit him up privately and then he just kind of ignore y'all, but in a situation like this that took place, why there was no public rebuke? When it happened in public. What happened? All right, let's play this clip right quick. All right. Because I want to get into this Mother's Day thing to kind of show y'all what set this all off so y'all can understand why I said what I said about Mother's Day. All right. Some of y'all be so quick to respond and be emotional about everything. Y'all don't listen. You don't listen and try to find out. Y'all don't ask not the questions trying to trap people up, but the questions to try to get understanding, to understand why did Pastor say that? Why did he said that? All right. Because you can't have a person be a demon today and you just call him a man of God and got the Holy Spirit yesterday. You can't have that unless your discernment is just off. So, but the point is, this is what happened.
What Kobe got up there, that's the Hebrew word shalom.
They're going to clip that and they're going to run with that. They're going to clip you see how they
all right, we back it up.
Clip that and they're going to run with that. He talking about Happy Mother's Day.
All right.
Oh,
I'm McCoy. Good to see you, fam. What's good, Sister Davis?
hey, happy Mother's Day. Hey.
Mess around that Mother's Day earlier. I had to block Jay, the producer. Mess around with that Mother's Day. And I told him at the beginning, I said, listen, we're going to come on. I'm going to mention Mother's Day. We're going to say Happy Mother's Day. Anybody say anything against Mother's Day out of darkness forever. On my seed, out of darkness forever. Don't play no games, you funny.
Berean, don't put it on your seed. Don't do that.
On my seed. On my seed.
Berean,
you feel how he can't come back. He can't touch the microphone.
No don't do that. Berean.
Don't play. I tell you, don't play. Don't play. And
all right. This ain't all. I'm going to push play in a minute. So, once again, like I said, I wasn't even there at the beginning of his stream. So I didn't hear this pre-speech about Mother's Day. And even if I heard it, it wouldn't have mattered because once I'm asked a question, I have to give an answer. And my answer got to be a truthful one. So I'm not going to, out of fear of being blocked into the outer abyss by Berean, he then asks me a question and I don't give him an answer. Like, I'm not going to answer the question. Like, I'm not going to give you the answer you want me to give out of fear of being blocked to eternal abyss. So I didn't hear that thing at the beginning. All right. So I came in like later on, having no idea that statement was made. All right. So, but as he's going off about that and doing this easily ignorant thing, all right, he then starts to curse his own seed. I don't know if he got natural kids or not. I don't know about all his life details. But if he did, and even if he didn't, the words that was coming out of his mouth was, "Oh, my seed." It's like people saying, "Oh, my mama," "On God," on my grandma's grave. Like when they're doing that evil thing that Christ said, when you swear by something, and he says, just let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Anything further than that is from the evil one. When you're talking about, "Oh, my seed, oh, my mama," that's from the evil one. That's not from God. It's not from God. So what we know right now, so far, anytime we ignorant, that's the flesh. It means the evil. We be carried away by the evil one, by sin. All right? And lust of the flesh. So already from the top, lust of the flesh. I ain't present. I ain't saying nothing to him, provoke him. All that man said was, "Happy Mother's Day." I don't shake in my boots and be like this anytime I hear somebody go, "Happy Mother's Day." Like I don't melt and be like, "No." But the elder saying that sends him off into this tangent. And then he goes, he gets so wrapped up in it. He's like, "Oh, my seed." The elder Green, knowing what Berean was doing, tried to warn him and said, "Hey, Berean, don't say that. Don't say on your seed. Don't want to say on your seed." Berean heard him, ignored him. Not only ignored him, he ignored him in public. He's already been carried away by his flesh. Then the elder tells, "Don't do that," in the public. He ignores the elder in the public, continues to curse his own seed, which is even worse. All right. And then keeps on doing, and then justifies it, calling evil good. Now, at this point, since Elder Green warned him and told him, don't say that. Don't say that. He ignored him, said, he doubled down on it. "Oh, my seed, oh, my seed." Now, at what position that puts Elder Green in? He either gets quiet or you got to give him a stern rebuke for everybody. Just like Paul did Peter. Is that what took place? No. There wasn't no stern public rebuke, how evil that was, curse your own seed. That's not the Spirit of God. You brothers and sisters, don't follow that. Berean, you need to repent. The Lord is my witness. Berean's my witness. Me and him had a private conversation a couple of days ago via Facebook inbox. Because the last time I was on the mic over this channel, we were talking to that Allen brother and trying to get him to understand regarding the virgin birth and things like that. And so, even though the brother was hard-headed in regards to the doctrine is concerned, it was a otherwise cordial, not so like super disrespectful, like he degraded me and me degraded him type of conversation. But at some point, you just got to end the conversation. "Bro, this is heresy. You're a heretic. We need to ignore you," right? And so Berean came on there and was like, "Man, these niggas, man." And when he said it, man, that thing bothered me so much. But I didn't say nothing immediately. I sat there and I was like, and he kept talking. Then he said, right before he was about to end it, he said, Pastor Jay, you got anything you want to add? And at this point, some time had passed. I already felt the initial from it, but it wasn't present upon my mind to say anything else about it at the moment. And so I said, I ain't got nothing to say. And then I got up and got off and went to bed. When that next day, the Lord was tormenting me because I didn't say something. Because even though that brother was a heretic and lying and all this other stuff and trying to get him to understand, he wasn't disrespectful to me, at least. I don't remember him being disrespectful to anybody else outside of saying I don't understand or something like that. But definitely not like a calling out of the name type of situation. And so then for Berean to be a representative of Christ, to come on and start talking that street black barbershop, ungodly speech, calling people niggas and stuff. And for me being an elder, had not said something right then when it happened, it bothered me. So the next day, I had said, Lord's will, given the next opportunity, I'm going to speak to Berean about it. The next day, he inboxed me about something else. He don't never inbox me like that. We don't be having conversations back and forth like that. He inboxed me about something else. They would, I don't know, raise money for something. Anyway, so he reached out to me about that. And so, gave to, what they was asking for. But then since he was in my inbox and we were already talking, that was the opportunity the Lord gave me. So then I mentioned it to him about what happened on the platform. He said another pastor, the other Pastor Green, actually talking about the same thing. All right. And that's why he took the video down. That next video that he went live, he kind of mentioned that at the beginning. People was asking where the video went at. They wanted to see the dialogue between me and that guy and stuff like that. And but he's like, you took it down. He's talking about, how I can get ignorant and blah, blah, blah. And that's why he took the video down, because of what happened on there. It could have been some other factors, but I know specifically that one. So that's what takes place there. And how me as an elder, if somebody says something, especially on the platform in public in front of God's people, and it's evil, and I see the other brothers and sisters in the chat section, when this was done, they were sending up laugh face emojis and crying emojis, laughing, taking pleasure in this evil that just took place. And I didn't say anything. So because I didn't say anything, I shared in that transgression. That's why I was being convicted, because I didn't say something. So that's why I told him. And then, he was like, thank you for, bringing that up, blah, blah, blah. And so that was that. The next time I went over there, it wasn't even on the panel. It was during that class with the whole Mother's Day controversy thing began. All right. So he played the documentary, saw the documentary. I responded regarding the documentary. But then he said, matter of fact, when I said, go figure, even the founder is against Mother's Day. Then Berean said in front of everybody, was like, Pastor Jay, is God against Mother's Day? Is God against Mother's Day? Now, what position that put me in? I got to either say, yes, he is. No, he not. That's the only options. Now, I don't know that beforehand. He's like, anybody that speaks against it going to get blocked to the outer abyss. So I didn't know my answer was going to equal blocked to the outer abyss. I didn't know that what was going to come because of the warning that had took place that I didn't hear. But either way, I fell under that warning, right? So he says, is God against Mother's Day? So I'm just thinking, he asked the question. Let me give him the answer. Gave him the answer, yes. And then, I gave a little explanation, according to how many characters I could type. But, and then he started going off. And I'm like, oh, boy, y'all got to slow down, man. Because he started going on this tangent. I wasn't there physically to explain anything further. And the thing ain't going to allow you much characters. And everybody keeps commenting. So it was like the worst formula you can imagine. So I made a statement. I said, I'll probably jump on it a little bit. Just because anybody got a question, I could further explain things. But he was like going crazy, so I just left, right? And so now comes this video where he brings it up later on. And he's cursing his seed, doing all this evil stuff, all right? And then double down on it even after being warned in public before the people from an elder that I would say that he respects more than he respects me. So somebody you respect more that respects me is telling you, don't do this, which was the right thing for Elder Green to say. Don't do this, because it was evil. It was already bad. The ignorant thing was happening. But now you're talking about On my seed, cursing your own seed. That's why the elder said, don't do that. But he ignores this warning, and then he continues to curse his seed. Double down on cursing his seed. If the Lord decided not to have mercy and do what it is that he kept saying in the midst of his ignorant, man, it's terrible. But it would only be his fault. But the point is that this didn't ensue.
We let you come on. We let you touch the mic and get wrecked. We know you like this wreck over here, and it's cool and everything. But if I say don't touch Mother's Day, leave Mother's Day alone, and we're going to honor these queens, that's what it's going to be. No, these folk ain't got no respect. You going to tell me God don't want nobody honoring no mother on Mother's Day. Like he's speaking, like he the Holy Ghost, the voice of God speaking. Banishment out of the darkness, period, forever. Happy Mother's Day. Go ahead, I mute myself.
Berean.
I'm sorry, I can't play with these. I can't play with these dudes. He got that spirit on him just like them other dudes. At least he trying to be consistent with the football. He got the spirit on.
Now, by the way, me being consistent with the football don't change their minds. It don't change their minds. So you care about somebody being consistent in what they say, or you concerned about somebody being truthful in what they said? And whether I got blocked to the outer abyss, whether I heard the warning or not, y'all should know me. He should know me. These other elves should know me. Y'all should know me well enough to know, even if you say I'm going to be blocked to the outer abyss, by the Lord's grace, you ask me a question, I'm going to give the answer, even if it's the one you don't like. I'm not going to mince my words because I like this platform too much. He won't let me on the mic no more. I can't use the platform. Or I'm blocked to the outer abyss. Bro, I don't care. I don't care if that's the result. We don't preach. We shouldn't preach for likes. Quite honestly, many in that community hate God. That's just the truth. And they show it by the way they live and talk about each other. So, but y'all just like each other's personalities. So it don't matter what y'all say. Heretic come on there left and right. Over and over again. They don't get blocked to the outer abyss and never come back. The same heretic doctrines keep cycling over there. But speak against Mother's Day, it ain't even from God. It's from men. The things from God that people speak about constantly entertain. The thing that's spoken against that's from man, block the minister to the outer abyss. Like, what? But anyway, so, but then these slanders start to happen. He got that spirit on him, just like the other dudes. And at least he's consistent about football, which doesn't change their minds, all right? But at least I'm consistent about that. Thank you, I guess. But what else happens?
Him like them other dudes. Don't give us that. Don't give us that. Other people conscious and don't bother them. Stop trying to condemn people to the grave for doing something because they got a freedom and they choose to do it. Then putting it on the Great Spirit. These dudes are, I'm telling you, these dudes, they want to control y'all through that book. This is manipulation, y'all. This is manipulation. No scripture don't tell you can't honor your mama on a specific day. No,
that's
I don't give it. Listen, Nathaniel, none of them. Jay the producer, none of them. None of them. Y'all don't like y'all come see none of them. Nobody think about y'all. Whatever y'all into, I'm into. None of y'all ain't gonna violate. Period. Go ahead, Elder.
I ain't mean to get you wild up, Berean.
It's funny, dude. The pagan police get me riled up. Pagan police taking their kids to Chuck E. Cheese. They ain't got the same energy. Keep the same energy all around. Don't say happy birthday, Pastor Kelly. Don't say it. If you want to police us, don't say it. Period. Sick of these pagan police. Go ahead.
You said Chuck E. Cheese.
Y'all can't do nothing. If it ain't in the book, don't do it. Get off of FaceTime. Get out that pagan ambulance. Don't go to the hospital with them pagans. Y'all been murdering the pagans. Y'all is the murderers. You folk in religion, y'all is the murderers. Trying to hold back humanity. It's y'all doing it in the name of a demon, not the everlasting God. Everlasting God ain't saying this nonsense y'all saying. Know what y'all doing. I know what y'all doing. Y'all ain't gonna do it on my watch. We're gonna expose every bit of you demons.
Oh. All right. So obviously I got thrown in the group with known heretics like Nathaniel and them. And we've combined, thrown in the mixed pot of working on behalf of demons. We're what it's been relegated down to. And so even though it's the Mother's Day thing that kind of set it off, the other things in which I've said among them are being also accounted for in this equation, which is, obviously the anti-competitive sports, the theaters and things like that, which they make plenty and a million excuses for. And so we're called pagan police, right? And so you get thrown in a bunch and you're working on behalf of demons and blah, blah, blah. And so now, in the midst of all of that, I don't want you guys to become lost. Is this the way it's presented or said, and what we heard was, man, this is some righteous indignation. He hates evil. He gonna stand for truth. That's what he wants. And these pagan police, they ain't gonna do this and they ain't gonna do that. Pastor Jay, him and his football and blah 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 and his Mother's Day thing, blah blah. Y'all working on behalf of demons, Christ against it. Y'all lying, blaspheming on the Lord's Spirit, putting it on the Great Spirit. Ain't from God. Y'all working on behalf of demons. That's what it sound like. Now, in the midst of all of that, ignorant, slandering, cursing his own seed, ignoring the warning from an elder, while in the midst of all of that, clearly led by his flesh, but it seems to be led by the Spirit, based on the conclusion of why he's supposed to have been going off. To keep the pagan police away and not distort people's liberties and blah, 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 while the entire time is carried away by his flesh. At what point did God take over? At what point did God take over? We can't say it was righteous indignation when he was cursing his own seed. We can only say it was his flesh. Being ignorant, ignoring the warning from your brother there on the screen, nobody can say that was God. That was the flesh. That was ignorant. At what point did it switch to God leading this? There was no time that God switched. The entire thing was of the flesh. Now, the Green know where the evil took place at least some of it. He tried to warn him. But then when he got ignored, he didn't press the issue no more. It was like buddy talk and laughing and all. That's evil. That's evil. And that's what constantly keeps being done. They contradict the truth of the gospel, the way that people should live, the holiness that God calls us to. They only esteem some things because they operate off this fake essentials list that they made up for themselves. They operate off this code that came later on and not from the apostles. And so they got all that going on. People popping collars with idols, sharing idols in their faces, idols on their walls. Heretic after heretic after heretic. People denounce the Lord after denounce the Lord. Endless discussion after endless discussion. Ignorant after ignorant after ignorant. Calling people niggas and all this other crazy stuff. And these editors get on there and laughing with them about it. The people in the comment section laughing about it. They think it's funny. Curse his own seed in their face. Where was the outrage that y'all have when y'all decided speaking niggas, Mother's Day was worthy of outer abyss, abandonment? But yeah, you have an elder in front of y'all, cursing his own seed. Where y'all was at in the chat section, nowhere to be found. He even ignored the elder in your face. Ain't that disrespectful? But you're so anti the people that he's speaking against, you ignore his own actions. And leading y'all right into that evil of behavior. And Elder Green, kind of subsides from the warning, hey, man, you doing it, man, it's evil, man. Then he ignores you, keep doing it, and go further on and on and on with his flesh. And it's like, now it's not his buddies, it's just laughing. It's not no bringing shame to what was done.
I almost wish I hadn't said happy Mother's Day now, but I ain't mean to go on.
You don't round me up messing around with these pagan police.
I don't wish I hadn't said it now. I didn't know you go on like that.
Whole time they hypocrites.
But Berean, now have you?
Now this one that came out the cave. He want me to send him the link. Go ahead. I got to mute myself. Go ahead, Elder Green. You got to get the answers to questions.
Came out the cave. Now, Berean, now you gotta be mindful too. Now, somebody may be intentionally trying to do something to push your button too. Now, You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm learning about this social media.
All right, so you start having some problems, all right? So that's all I'm going to play of this. The point is all that evil that took place, at what point can you discern it? Can you discern at what point did God take over and now it became righteous in your nation and was good? At what point did it switch? But people, quite honestly, and I ain't saying scared like he'll threaten their life and stuff like that. I mean scared like publicly open-wise on this panel, they ain't going to do it. They're not going to do it. It's been going on too long. They laugh and joke or they just be quiet. And they might hit them up privately or something like that, have a little conversation with them. There'll be some video in the future. Hey, guys, y'all know how I could be. It'd be like that sometimes, blah, blah, blah. We not, like that apology video that took place like a year and a half ago where supposedly since then, there's supposed to be no further conversation about the Black Hebrew Israelites and wasting all this time about who the Israelites is today. I don't know if how many of y'all remember that video. It was a whole video dedicated to that. Whole apology to the whole community, and we're going to shut this down, shut the door to these Black Hebrew Israelites and that doctrine. What happened to that? So, but the point is that this kind of character problem keeps going on and on. And then as you continue on, let me find it because it got put on the screen just to show you an example of what I'm talking about here. All right. Because they joke about evils and then think it's funny. And everybody laughs. They find amusement in it. This is so evil. Because we know what Christ and the Lord said and the apostles taught us to not do. So, but this old buddy and Dunamis, which is his second right-hand man or whatever, to Berean, their commonly say statements like, let me play devil's advocate right quick. When they asking these questions. That's like, y'all gotta listen to what people say. Y'all be thinking about friendships too much. And people be saying stuff, and then you just go right across your head. You missed the whole entire thing. You don't know at what point the evil one came in. But if you listen to people talking, and then y'all having a conversation, trying to get to something, and somebody says, let me play devil's advocate right quick. The evil one is in the midst right there. Mischief is in the building right now. Something to stir up trouble and strife on purpose has just appeared. But y'all think about friendships and who you esteem and like so much, and the essentials y'all agree about, and this conversation is so entertaining, y'all ain't listening to that. When somebody says, let me play devil's advocate right quick, what is that phrase? What does that mean? What is the meaning of playing a devil's advocate? When somebody says, let me play devil's advocate right quick. It says someone who pretends in an argument or discussion to be against an idea or plan that a lot of people support in order to make people discuss and consider it in more detail. All right? Devil's advocate. Let me click on this. If you play devil's advocate in a discussion or debate, you express an opinion which you may not agree with, but which is very different from what other people are saying in order to make the argument more interesting. That's literally mischief. That's why it's called devil's advocate. An advocate is a representative. An advocate. If you advocate a particular action or plan, you recommend it publicly. Supporter. So when we say we're advocate of Christ, we are supporter of Christ. So we relay his doctrines, his ideas, his thought patterns, and we commend men to do those things. Right? So, but when people say I'm playing the devil's advocate, then the things that they're advocating for in a discussion to make it more interesting is cause mischief and strife to cause the two parties to go even harder at each other so that the debate can be even more entertaining. That's what it means to play devil's advocate. Meaning the people could be just talking regularly and they might not be in 100% agreement about something, but they're kind of working their way there slowly as they go through each detail. A third person comes in and says, well, hold on. Let me play devil's advocate right quick. And they insert an idea or a question to cause more interest and divide in the debate. That's what it means to play devil's advocate. I know people use it and everybody talking about it's a joke, but you're playing the devil's advocate for fun. That's what a joke means. For pleasure, for fun. So when somebody says, I'm playing devil's advocate, that's super evil. And it's worse when they say for fun. You better off just being for real. Just let it all come from mischief. Instead of disguising it as light and say, it was just a joke. I didn't mean nothing by it. You're playing the devil's advocate with pure intentions? Stop it. Okay? But that's what people do. And that's how they calmly carry themselves. And everybody think it's okay. And they laugh about it. So then this is said. Dunamis is the chief muck runner. Now, I know by reason that honestly is saying this in a joking manner. I know she is. So don't act like I'm going, she's malicious when she's saying this. We're talking about the words in which you speak. Saying something such as a joke or it's for fun doesn't change what was said. If I said, bro, you're nothing. I'm just playing. I still degraded you. Do you understand that? I didn't lift you up just because I said a degrading action as a joke. That didn't uplift you. Okay? I still degraded you. Even though I did it for fun or for just pleasure and without malicious thought, maybe I don't really think you're nothing, but as a joke, I'm like, you're nothing. Whether I'm joking or for real, it don't come from God. It don't come from love. It's of the evil one. It's from the flesh. It's from this world. That's why the apostle said filthy speech and all this stuff is not for you. Don't let none of it come out of your mouth. Not for real, not as a joke. Because even if as a joke, the words came out of your mouth for real. And so, but because of the way in which Berean carries himself in their sight, and since he carries himself that way, he allows them to carry themselves that way. And then you get people on there that talk some good stuff, and you agree with them doctrinally speaking about things in the Bible, but character-wise and how they treat one another is anti the Lord. And so they degrade one another for fun and call it love. Dunamis is the chief muck runner. What is that? What's a muck runner? Let's see what this joke is about. What are you joking to call him? Is it the greatest character? What is it? Some of y'all might not know what these things mean when people say it. When you say somebody is a muck runner or somebody who runs amok, when things go amok, they are wildly out of control. Someone running amok is showing no self-control. This is a word that has to do with chaos and disorder. A riot is an example of people running amok. So if you say somebody is running amok up in here, it means that they have no self-control. They're in chaos and disorder, which means of the evil one. That's what it means. Because God is not God of disorder and chaos, but order and peace and unity as in all the churches. So when you say somebody's running amok, this is what you're saying they're doing. That's the only meaning for it. You saying it's a joke, don't change its meaning. Okay? As a joke, you're telling your brother, your neighbor, you got no self-control. You're chaotic, bro. You're disorderly, bro. That's what you're saying. But they will speak of each other in such ways, and nobody thinks there's no problem with it. And they don't change the way they treat each other. And they think talking about each other like this is like an expression of love. And they draw closer to one another through it. That's evil. It's evil from the evil one. What about somebody being anti-Mother's Day? What about all this gun-godliness in your face that you allow and that you put on the screen? You put it on the screen, Berean. You put it on there. You're Dunamis. Y'all put it on there. You didn't put it on there and say this is evil. Sis, don't do that. You put it up there because it's funny. Y'all take amusement in this. This is how you constantly carry yourselves. So when you say he's the chief leader, muck runner, you're saying this brother is the chief, like how the apostle says, I'm the chief of sinners. And everybody want to go, I'm the chief of sinners. As some sign of their super lowly humbleness. When you say somebody is a chief muck runner, even as a joke, you're saying he lacks, if there's anybody that lacks self-control, it's Dunamis, because he's the chief of them. If there's anybody that's disorderly, it's Dunamis, because he's the chief of them. If there's anybody that's wildly out of control, it's Dunamis, because he's the chief of them. That's literally what you're saying. But they'll say things like this that degrade one another and speak ill of the characters, and they take it as a joke, and then they think it's some byproduct of love. It's not from Christ. It's not from him. It's from the evil one. I got no time for it today. I know what intent means. Here's what intent means for the people that don't know what intent means. Intention and purpose. Intent and purpose. Meaning, when somebody says, I did a certain thing with this intent, they're saying the purpose of why they did the action that they did. Now, I got a question for spookism. I can't ask the question to Jason Brown because I blocked him. All right. So, is this. If you say your brother's the chief muck runner, but your intentions was pure. My purpose was pure as to why I did that joke. What pure intention drove you to degrade him in your speech? That's my question. Spookism, since he's still here, you can answer that question. When you degrade someone's character as a joke, what pure intention was there behind that? Or were you just deceived by the evil one? Give me anything that's degrading another human being that has a holy purpose behind it. When you say you're chaotic, you're disorderly, unless you're rebuking him. But that wasn't a rebuke. I've been around long enough. That wasn't a rebuke. So when y'all joke back and forth with one another, degrading each other's characters for fun, what pure intention is there behind it? Y'all might say there's some pure intentions, but what pure intention? Does he become less of a muck runner in the future? Did you rebuke him so you understand that doing what he's doing that caused you to say he's a chief muck runner is like evil and he should depart from that? Is that what that was? Y'all worry about the Lord. The Lord's enough of that. Put away all filthy speech. Don't let it come out of your mouth. It's not for you. It's not for you. See, I'm glad you responded. When the statement was made, did he in the audience see it as degrading or only you? That's a great question. Great question. And that actually helped get to the bottom of things. I'm glad you responded. I'm glad it was that response. When the statement was made, did he in the audience, I don't know who else in the audience knew it was degrading. Everybody don't type in there. But from what I could see, I'm the only one that took that statement as a degrading one because everybody else was laughing. But just because everybody else was laughing, there's a person you're missing. There's a person you're missing in that. When the statement was made, did he and the audience see it as degrading, or did God see it as degrading speech? And that's the problem is, where's the consideration of what God thinks? Y'all have two men box each other. That's the problem why half of y'all still doing this MMA and fighting and stuff, because even though it was spoken against, clearly showing as anti the Lord, yet you have elders come up on there and oppose that doctrine and tell y'all you could do it in a way that don't show ill will. And if after the fight, y'all get some burgers afterwards, I can't condemn nobody. And so y'all think because they got a burger or because after the fight, they look like this. Hold on. Let me put it on here. Perfect example. Y'all think because after the fight, they do this. Fair use. Yeah, and what's in the heart comes out your mouths. Don't forget what the Lord said. So here we go.
I'm super excited. It was really tough. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was definitely a different ball game, but I had a blast. So
you think because after they done did all that evil to each other, after her neighbor beat her up like that, that after she gets the mic and she's all cheery faced and going, I had a great time. It was a great match. And she's all beat up, tooth probably loose and missing, cut all across her face, her own blood across her own body. But because I had a great time, she was a great competitor. Y'all think there was no evil in this? Y'all think there's no evil in this? Look at what her neighbor did to her. For what end? Somebody say, well, she probably had good intentions. What's the intention? You got to take care of your family. You got to take care of your family. We're going back to Mother's Day. The reason we ain't far away from Mother's Day because this is the same issue. The same kind of problems that preceded the Mother's Day thing. The Mother's Day thing was just icing on the top. This is the kind of stuff that's been going on forever. So let's deal with that. Especially you that supposed to be ministers of the Lord. Why you don't want me to talk about this? So y'all think because Dunamis took it as a joke and didn't think much of it. Why wouldn't he do the same stuff? He do the same. Y'all all take shots at each other and all laugh about it. I don't expect him to get all upset. But since the words were said, he takes it as a joke. But I'm like, bro, that's degrading. Why would you even joke it like that? Why would you even joke like that? It's like that I'm going to tell my kids thing that people was doing a couple years ago. That little meme thing that was going around where you had a person that looked kind of like a person or a person that don't even look like the person. And then the meme thing that everybody kept doing was, let's say it was Kevin Hart. And they'd be like, I'm going to tell my kids this is Gary Coleman. And everybody laughed. Because it's supposed to be funny because he's short and black and kind of remind you of Gary Coleman kind of type of thing. They were both kind of comedians or whatever. So you'd be like, I'm going to tell my kids this is Gary Coleman. So everybody laughs about it. Nobody takes it as like evil that's going on. Everybody's laughing and it's funny. But what does God think? What are you actually doing? That ain't Gary Coleman. Not one bit. But you said, as a joke, I'm going to tell my kids this is Gary Coleman. That's lying. Deceit. This is like pranks. Lying and deceit. So just because the crowd don't get upset, that don't mean that it is good in God's sight. And even if somebody says my intentions is pure, like that man who reached out to grab the ark that day with David and them coming back with the Ark of the Covenant, his intention was good. He just wanted to save the ark and not let it break. But he sinned and he died. So, and Apostle Paul warned us about this whole intent stuff and this whole conscience thing. He said, his own statement about his own self. He said, my conscience is clear, but that don't prove I'm right. Just because I personally ain't got no problem with it and it's not present upon my mind, you sinned, it doesn't mean my actions was good. It doesn't prove I'm right. There is a such thing as ignorant sin, that when it's done, you have no clue that what you did was evil. So, but y'all ain't got no excuses because y'all know what running amok means. Y'all know what nigga mean. Y'all know what you trash mean. Y'all know it's degrading speech, but people use it as jokes. And since the person you said it to laughed, you don't think you did evil. But evil county, you degraded them for fun. And it's this kind of stuff because you're looking at the end, after I beat her up like this, if she gets on there and commends her opponent and says she had a good time, y'all, for some reason, think there's no evil done here. And that's why I'm explaining to you guys, there's much evil been done here. Stop being deceived and stop taking everything as a joke. Stop joking about everything. All right? It's this, what I'm establishing, showing is this constant character that's the same, that keeps being done among God's people, that he wants us to put away, but it won't be put away because the ones that's over you, that's leading you, continues to do it themselves and keeps allowing y'all to do it, and y'all all find pleasure and jokey jokes about it and keep doing it. And then it leads to stuff like this as to why people don't think MMA is evil. It leads to things like why people think Bastet ain't evil, and why Thor ain't evil, and why Tyler Perry across the stage ain't evil, and why this ain't evil, and what we about to get into regarding Mother's Day, what led to this whole thing. All right. So let's go back. I don't know if this is the exact one that he played because I can't refer to it because the video's taken down. But I do know it contains the same historical information that he did play. All right, so I want you guys to hear it right quick. The history of Mother's Day, all right? Fair use.
Were among the first to pay tribute to Mom. Sort of.
All right, hold on, back it up.
The ancient Greeks were among the first to pay tribute to Mom. Sort of. Their spring festival honored Rhea, the mother of all Greek gods. That holiday didn't pan out.
Now, I want to start off by saying, in all societies, there's some offshoot of Mother's Day. Like there's different, like there was a Mother's Day before there was a Mother's Day in America. What we're dealing with is the Mother's Day national holiday of America. Not so much the ancient Mother's Day, right? And so most of the time when people are talking about Mother's Day, they refer back to what was just mentioned now with the Greeks and the Babylonians, things like that, right? And these false goddesses and stuff like that. There was a Mother's Day there. There also was a Mother's Day in Roman Catholicism, all right? But we specifically talking about the Mother's Day y'all know about today in America, all right? Because that wasn't always around. That's a newer holiday that came, let's say 100, 150 years ago, okay? So we're talking about that, talking about origins of that, okay? Because there was no Mother's Day in America as a national holiday prior to that one, all right? Even if there was a Mother's Day in some other countries, and even if some people who carried on the paganist ways came over here and still did that whole Mother's Day thing, we're talking about specifically a national holiday of America, okay? But this is kind of going over the extension of Mother's Day and how far back it goes, this idea about Mother's Day, all right? Because even though there was no national holiday of America, national holiday of Mother's Day in America, but so long ago, and yet there were in other countries and religions a Mother's Day, and it was all relating back to the pagan gods and stuff like that. What you guys gotta understand is, even if the human person, listen real close to what I'm about to say, even if the human person has their own reasons as to why they want to start to do a certain thing, they have their own purpose and intent behind it. That's either good or evil. There's spirit behind them that is influencing them, whether it be God or whether it be the demons, that has their own intent and purpose behind it. Then behind that is God, who permitted all things under the sun, who has his own purpose and intent behind why he allows good and evil to take place. So you got three different desires and wills going on here, all right? And you could really say two, because the human person that has this idea is either a good one or a bad one. So it always goes back to the spirit world that's leading them, all right? Whether it be from God or it be from the evil one, all right? So remember that. So the point is that even though there wasn't a national holiday, the person that started it had intentions, and it comes from good or evil, okay? God or the evil one. It's not a third category. So, all right, now let's go on.
In medieval Britain, servants were given the fourth Sunday of Lent to travel home and spend the day with their moms. This custom was called Mothering Sunday. But the modern-era Mother's Day was created by Anna Marie Jarvis. Anna admired her mother, who attended to the wounded during America's Civil War and later became a community activist. When young Anna was 12, it is believed she heard her mother pray that one day there might be a Memorial Day for mothers, for all the good that they do. Young Anna never forgot the prayer, and when her mom died in May of 1905, the plan for a holiday was born. On the second anniversary of her mom's death, Anna held a church memorial dedicated to her mother's good deeds. In May of 19...
All right. Now, we got to stop here. We got to deal with all these factors that we learned about in this history, all right? Because just because somebody do something for a person, it doesn't mean that what they're doing is good, all right? You'd be like, oh, it's for her sister. Oh, it's for her cousin. Okay, oh, the healers, they get the carvings in their flesh for their dead relatives. They love their parents so much, they want to tattoo them into their skin. Oh, and you don't want to say nothing. But the Lord said that's evil when they do it. So it doesn't matter who they're doing it for and why they say they're doing it. It's either good or evil. So you're not to become, oh, they're doing it for their mother. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with honoring your mother? Like, you shouldn't think that way. What are they doing? All right, so far, what we have so far is this. First of all, I want to know what influence this lady got that there's a whole church service dedicated just to the memorial of her own mom. Like, what kind of woman was this? What sect was she in that allowed this esteeming of her mother above all mothers to now they're honored? They got a whole thing for just her mama. So you can see people's intents. I wish y'all ministers stop acting so blind and clueless about stuff. When the Lord says, what's in the heart of men comes out of them through his actions and his words. If a man shoots you, you're not going to say you love me. You're not going to say he loves me. And if a person smacks you across the cheek and rob you, you're not going to say that was an act of love. Even if he tells you, I only did it, bro, because my kids are hungry. You're not going to say, oh, okay, then, well, you robbing me was good. It had good intentions. You're not going to say that because his actions, despite his reasons for doing it, had an impure motive because it led to your harm. Do you understand? Love does no harm to his neighbor. So if your intentions are pure, it does no harm to your neighbor. If you are degrading him, his character, whether he laughs about it or not, you're doing harm to your neighbor. If you're beating your neighbor up in a ring, but both of y'all agree to do it as a job, and y'all beating each other up for vainglory in the end and money and stuff, even if y'all shook hands after the match, you did harm to your neighbor. Your intentions is not pure. So, because you had to serve yourself in selfishness, not taking into consideration his conscience and thoughts and health and all these other things. So please understand that. Christ said, what the scripture said, how a man thinks, so is he in his actions, how he acts. So you're not to sit and watch a man be ignorant, cursing his own seed, calling people niggas and all this other stuff. And y'all be like, he loved the Lord. This is a man who loved the Lord. Like, y'all shouldn't be talking like everybody. Y'all so blind. Who is the Lord then? This ain't Christ I heard of. So, but back to this. So it's believed, it's not confirmed, so it's inner speculation, but it's believed that she heard her mother praying to God that she hoped there's a special Memorial Day to memorialize all the mothers for all the good things that they do. That's a vain hope. It's a vain idea. Okay? The Lord don't allow it to happen during her lifetime. She dies 2 years later, then her daughter wants to start it, and whatever church she's attending allows for a service dedicated to the memorial of all her mother's works. All right? But that ain't all. Listen real close, because something's going to switch.
In 1908, Anna held another memorial and handed out white carnations, her mom's favorite flower. She contacted Philadelphia philanthropist John Wanamaker, who joined a Mother's Day committee in hopes of honoring all mothers all across the nation. In 1910, West Virginia became the first state to observe the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day. After a fierce letter-writing campaign, Anna got Congress to federally recognize the holiday.
All right, now, because there's going to be a switch up in a second. So the sister not only had the idea of having a Memorial Day just for mothers, starting with her mother, then she started the tradition of handing out the little white flower thing because that was her mother's favorite flower. So she would hand that out to the different mothers, right, on Mother's Day, and start that tradition. She reaches out to some high office people because she wants this to be a national holiday. Yay. And so they start locally and statewide, but it wasn't a national observance. And so, excuse me. So it then gets to the point where it becomes national observance. So far, her version of Mother's Day is not your current Mother's Day today. That's why I said to Berean and to these other people, it's funny, the founder of Mother's Day is opposed to Mother's Day because Berean asked me, is God opposed to Mother's Day? Mother's Day, talking about the feast in which y'all call Mother's Day today. Is God opposed to Mother's Day that's on your national calendar right now? All right? Is God opposed to that? And so, a couple things to take notice is this woman's professing Christian. Her mother, professor Christian, dies. She starts this memorial and this tradition of handing out the little flower thing. And so she want all the mothers everywhere to get flowers, I guess. All right. So she want it to be nationally recognized. She got these big ideas. Why is it? It's pointless, but that's what she's going after. All right. She's driven to do this. All right. Now watch what happens.
And in 1914, President Wilson signed a bill that officially made the second Sunday in May Mother's Day. The holiday was meant to be spent in church. Afterwards, sons and daughters would write loving letters to their mothers. Carnations were worn that day. Pink or red honored living mothers, and white honored moms who had passed. With each year, more and more Mother's Day carnations were sold. And by 1920, greeting card companies got into the Mother's Day biz. Anna was enraged by what she considered a lazy excuse for letters that should be handwritten. By 1924, the holiday creator was so appalled with the commercialization of Mother's Day that she petitioned to abolish it. In 1930,
So the lady, what Mother's Day had become was nowhere in her idea, right? It wasn't led by God, that's why. But anyway, she had that idea. She's want to honor her mother. It seems, pure in intent and stuff like that. But it was a spirit behind her because the whole idea was vain anyway. To uplift, to put your mothers on pedestals on a certain day. You should honor them every day. Why this feel of it need to be a special day to do it? Put them on the pedestal, make it Mother's Day, and give them flowers. When the kids, if they're going to church like she was, they're taught how to honor their mother every day. If they just obey the Lord and do it His way, but no, put them up there. If you're gonna have a Mother's Day to exalt them, especially in America, they need a woman humble day. Yeah, they don't need no more excuse for pride over here. But anyway, but the point is that, all right, so she goes with her idea and it's flourishing and it's adopted and it becomes statewide and now it's become a national holiday. But then something happens. It was not about the heart anymore. It was all about the money. You got pre-made cards in Walmart and in this place and in that place and that place. And so now it's pre-made thoughts from whoever wrote it. And then you just see it and be like, oh, that's a nice thing to say. And then, oh, I like that. And then you buy it and give it to your mama. She hated it. She hated what Mother's Day today is. She hated it. So much so, she took her life savings and fought to abolish it, but she could never get it abolished. She was arrested trying to end Mother's Day. That's why I said, man, go figure that. The founder of Mother's Day is even opposed to it now and wants to abolish it. So knowing that, and then the question is asked to me afterwards, is God against Mother's Day? Yes. Absolutely. Because it's vain tradition of men where men are responding to society pressures to honor their mother. Two, the very founder of the idea, the originator of the idea here in America at least, she herself didn't even like what Mother's Day is. And she tried to abolish it. So all signs point to God is actually opposed to this hypocrisy that takes place around the entire world. I'm just focusing on America right now. Around America right now, all this hypocrisy. People that dishonor their mother and father every day, don't obey the Lord, don't obey their parents, don't even honor them. Half of them don't even take care of their parents. Then all of a sudden, Mother's Day come around and snap photos. Ooh, love my mom, you know my mama, you love my mom. Put it online. That seem like the most caring children. And even if you got some in the mix that really do love their mom and daddy every day, but then these holidays come and they just lift them on up there a little bit higher as their idol for that day. As they continue to do that, just because you got some innocent folks in the midst that's carried away by this craziness, that doesn't excuse the feast. No different than Christmas. We know how mixed up paganism it is. We know that Christ never observed a birthday, let alone his birthday, let alone by feast. For hundreds of years, the church didn't do that. All of a sudden, somebody get the itch. They want to try to find out what day can they do it. Everybody got these calculations. Now you got these arguments in the churches. Now you got these councils got to come together because the church can't agree on when they're going to do it. Then the government steps in and the Roman Catholic people step in. And now all of a sudden, now y'all got December 25th, the day you will remember the birth child of Mary. And all this paganism around the world and that idol stamped to it and all the commercials and everything. That ain't enough to run y'all away from it because all in your mind you're thinking is, what's wrong with getting somebody present? What's wrong with kids coming together? What's wrong with the family meeting up? What's wrong with milk? And what's wrong with cookies? That's how you think in a very childlike manner instead of the way in which the apostle said, which was this. Even if you had a liberty to do it, which you really don't, but if you did, even if you had a liberty to do a certain thing, yet if your brother's vexed by it and you continue to do it, you're not walking in love. So when you see the split that happens in the Christian church every year, just over that one feast, I'm talking about Christmas right now, That ain't enough to make the so-called stronger in faith people go, you know what, man? Even if I think my brother's weak, I'm not gonna talk about this. I'm gonna go Merry Christmas anyway. I'm not gonna throw this and rub this in their face. I ain't gonna put my strength upon him. Since y'all worry about somebody putting their conscience so much upon you, that's what you're doing when they're weak and vexed and it's debates back and forth. It's pagan. It ain't pagan. You're idolater. I'm not an idolater. And bro, you know how to avoid that contention? By you putting it away. But you only think about yourself and your kids and your fun. That's all you think, and your presence that you get from other people. All you think about is your pleasure instead of keeping unity among the body. And so we're taught to not give an offense to the Jew, Greek, other the church of God. And even if you had a liberty to do something, if your brother's vexed by it, and this is public spectacle every year, somebody need to put it away. And it's not the weak, because the weak already ain't doing it. It's the strong people that need to put it away. Keep that opinion of yours between you and God. But everybody think they know, so oh well. Everybody's going to do what they want. But the point is this. So she wanted to abolish it. All right, at this point. Now what happens?
Anna was arrested for disturbing the peace at a Mother's Day carnation sale.
So she shows up at the carnation sale on Mother's Day, protesting this stupid commercialization and all. She would have been opposed to these commercials. She would have been opposed to all the Hallmark cards y'all love to buy. She's against all that stuff. So much so she stood outside the store where they were selling it, protesting it all. Because that wasn't her intent. That wasn't her idea. So if her idea was pure, just what you got to admit. You got to say her idea was pure in intent. All right, fine. Her intention was pure. But then what Mother's Day is today is the impure version of what this sister had. So it's a corruption of what she wanted. So much so she opposed it. So if you're going to say her intentions was good, you can't then put modern Mother's Day that you have today in the same boat with her idea, her original idea, because she opposed what y'all call Mother's Day today. So you have to say what y'all know as Mother's Day is a corrupted, taken over by the heathen way than from what this sister wanted. Either way, if it's a corruption of her purity intent, then that means Mother's Day is corrupt. It's from the evil one. You still got no choice but to admit what it is I was already saying. Whether you want to say her intention was pure, but what became Mother's Day today is the corruption of that, then you have to say, well, the evil one took it over. So what you know as Mother's Day today is the evil one. It's not what that sister was wanting. Then we'll be in agreement that God is against Mother's Day as y'all know it. Because it's either a corruption of her pure intent or even her idea in the first place was corrupt, but she didn't know it, being a little child. So either way, when you turn on the TV and you see all that commercialization, all that greed, put your mother up there. You see these commercials. You see how them commercials is. People trying to make money. It's a money grab. Just like Black Friday is a money grab. Just like Christmas is a money grab. They know when y'all ready to spend a bunch of money, and they put all them commercials in your face. You need to get your mama this. All the mothers in the world, hold them up. You think that's bad? Wait till I play the one about Father's Day. Oh, my goodness. So, as you can see, historically speaking, let me finish this little bit of it.
Sadly, Anna spent the rest of her life and family inheritance fighting the holiday.
What? This woman was so opposed to what it is that y'all know as Mother's Day, she spent her whole family inheritance fighting it? And y'all want me to sit here and be like, God ain't got no problem with that. This sister ain't even got no problem. This sister spent her whole inheritance against what you think is normal and good. I didn't bring this up. I didn't share this link. Berean played it to y'all. That was my first time coming to the knowledge of this.
She died in 1948, leaving no children to remember her. Since then, Mother's Day has become one of the most profitable holidays for florists and the phone company's highest volume day of the year. This probably wouldn't have pleased Anna, but deep down, she would have to be satisfied that on her Mother's Day, millions of moms around the world receive extra attention and well-deserved hugs.
They know her intent. They know deep down inside she'd be happy, or is it only when I say something, you know her intent? Y'all put up what you want to put up with. So the lady who had the idea originally about Mother's Day here in America spent her entire life and family inheritance fighting this commercialized, vain tradition that y'all know as Mother's Day today, where mothers get special extra attention. Mother and father in the house, but today we lift mom up. Mother and father in the house, but today we lift father up. So the originator opposed what y'all think is good. And I'm not going to, I already pointed out how it's evil. You can't see, you just can't see it. Enough is enough now at this point. So the originator was against it. It's highly esteemed in the world. Commercialized about making money. It's this extra vanity that you dedicate to your mothers on a special day, just like the vanity of your birthday celebrations. The whole world need to bow down. The whole family need to bow down to you. The angels need to acknowledge you. The day halts because it's your day. What? You ain't do nothing. Your parents should be getting gifts. If anybody get gifts, why you shy down with gifts? You're the best thing came in the world. You came in the world corrupt. So the apostles didn't operate that way. All right. There was no such traditions among the believers. None. There was no birthday celebrations of any of the Christians celebrating their birthdays. That's just historically the case. And because of their view based on what the law of God teaches. And then that's why you don't see in the Bible any birthday celebration for Jesus come up among the apostles. They didn't hand that to you. When they say the faith that been handed down and the traditions that was handed down, it didn't include that. And it didn't include it all of their lives. Men after them got the itch. And even when the idea was first, it has always been a point of contention since the idea arose. There was arguments among bishops and elders about this. Did that stop people? No. People did what they want. That's how you got the bajillion denominations today. They do what they want. And so they just try to find a way to coexist among one another despite all of the disagreements. So that begins that. And then, of course, Rudolph comes, Santa Claus comes, all these myths and stories and legends from the Roman Catholic Church and why y'all doing what y'all doing. You got all this kind of stuff going on. And so the generations that got no idea about the backstory, all they see is like a pleasurable, fun holiday, and it's dedicated to moms. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. It's that vanity, that vanity behind it. Even that sister saw it, and she spent her whole inheritance and the rest of her life fighting that vanity. And you want to ask me today, what's evil about it? The vanity! The vanity is evil. That commercialization is evil. And all the other stuff. But the point is, so after that was played, that's when I made my remark. Okay? That's when I made my remark about the founder even being opposed to it. So then I was asked, is God against it? Okay, yes. Even if you disagree, yes, he is, right? That's worthy of outer abyss abandonment. Okay. Anyway, so let me play this other one here because I want to show you guys this trend. Because we know what's coming up next. I actually want to play, I'm going to play this one first. And then fair use. And then we'll go on.
The pagan origin of Father's Day.
Now, I want to mention something. I'm playing this for the historical of the origins of the Father's Day, because there's not many videos dedicated to it, right? Or information dedicated to it that I can show you guys in visual form. So there's some other things that's going to be said in here about early Christians and them observing Sabbath day and the Catholic Church and switching that. That's a whole discussion in itself, which we can have, probably not today, but we definitely can have because it is something worthy talking about. But I'm not going to focus upon it. I'm focused upon the Father's Day thing, all right? But there's some other stuff that will be talked about, Lord's will, that is brought up in this, all right?
Jesus Christ says in John chapter 8, verse 32, and ye shall know
Let me
the
fast
truth,
forward, get to
Casting
the
County,
all right, here we go.
Arkansas, USA, on February 18, 1882, and died on March 22, 1978. She grew up having great esteem for her father. While she was listening to a sermon at a church on the newly recognized Mother's Day, Sonora was firmly convinced that it was necessary to recognize fathers.
All right, so what you see so far with Mother's Day and from Father's Day came from two women. They both in a Christian church, and for some reason they get this idea they want to have a special uplifting of a particular race. In this case, with Ms. Dodd, fathers. In the case of the other lady, mothers. All right, but two ladies in Christian churches come up with these ideas. It's just like with Santa Claus or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Came from a Protestant minister, all right, who lied and was embarrassed by his own story. That's why he put his name on it. And until it became popular, then he finally said what he said. But so far, these ideas are originating within the church context here, all right? And so not from the doctrines of the Lord. They're listening to a sermon. She's probably hearing somebody talk on honor your mother and your father as you live and treat them with respect. He's probably hearing that. And in her mind, she's thinking, we should have a Memorial Day for fathers. Nothing in the scriptures is saying do that. Nothing in the teachings is saying establish a special day for fathers. But as she's hearing a regular message, this idea comes in her mind. All right?
She suggested to the Spokane Ministerial Association and Young Men's Christian Association, YMCA, to establish on June 5, her father's birthday, a holiday dedicated to fathers. On June 19.
All right. So two things with these two ladies. Both of them in a Christian church. Both of them are hearing regular sermons that don't teach to make a Memorial Day for anybody, but they get the idea to make a Memorial Day for her mother, her father. And the day that they want to do it is on their deceased parents' birthdays. Both of them, the Mother's Day lady and the Father's Day lady. Both of them want to establish it, a memorial to all mothers, and the other one to all fathers on their deceased mother and father's birthday. Okay? The same story, playing over again. Two different ladies. All right.
1910 in Washington, USA, the first Father's Day ever was celebrated. Both organizations gave her a lot of support. In 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson declared the third Sunday of June as the official date for the celebration of Father's Day. A few years later, in 1972, however, President Richard M. Nixon signed a proclamation to make Father's Day a national holiday to be celebrated annually on the third Sunday in June. Some versions claim that Grace Golden Clayton, born October 4, 1875, in Barboursville, West Virginia, who died March 29, 1958, invented the idea of celebrating Father's Day after being inspired by an accident that occurred in a coal mine in December 1907. Supposedly, she suggested to her pastor Robert Thomas Webb of the Williams Memorial Methodist Episcopal Church congregation that
The only statement I'm going to make right now is that an apostate denomination or not?
it would be a good idea if a special day could be dedicated to all the fathers to honor and remember them. According to the version by Grace Golden Clayton, the first Father's Day was held supposedly on July 5, 1908 in Fairmont, West Virginia. Whatever the history or contemporary origin of Father's Day, it is a pagan holiday that has existed for a long time. The Roman Catholic Church has celebrated this holiday in Europe on March 19 in honor of St. Joseph since the days of the Middle Ages. Many European and Latin American countries have adopted the same date as the USA. It is a very popular holiday in many countries.
All right, I want to pause it right quick. Let's give you some historical background so far. Father's Day, the idea in America sense, context. All right, but I want to show you guys this. All right, let's show you guys this. Hold on. Fair use. I want to show y'all that same commercialization, that same esteem, all that same vanity and evil that the world knows as Mother's Day and Father's Day. We're going to show you exactly how it opposes God. All right? You think it's a game. Y'all only think about yourselves. I love my mom, dad. What's wrong with me? Honor them. Honor them another day. Should be honor them every day. So what is it if you don't give them a candy that day or a card or whatever the case is? You're responding to pressure and traditions of men. All right? And not the Lord. If you honor them the way the Lord said, you'll be fine. No reason for extra attention. All right? When the Lord said, esteem one another higher than yourselves, that didn't mean celebrate everybody's birthday. That's not what that meant. Okay? Go around celebrating everybody's birthdays. So, but listen to what happens here. This is a news broadcast on Family's Day. I want you to see when they do the little special about it. Fair use.
Third week of June, which means Father's Day is this Sunday. Honoring our dads has become a yearly celebration, but have you ever wondered how that holiday actually came to be? Well, Whit Johnson takes a look back at the history of Father's Day.
Sunday, June 20th, we celebrate dads for Father's Day, showering gifts on the men who taught us to fly, made chores fun, and carried us on their backs for a ride in the sun. But when and where did the Day for Dads begin? It all started more than 100 years ago. The first known Father's Day was celebrated in Spokane, Washington. As the story goes, Sonora Smart Dodd, whose mother died at childbirth, thought of her single dad during a Mother's Day church sermon in 1909. So she launched an effort through the YMCA and local churches to celebrate her dad and everyone else's. That first Father's Day was on June 19th, 1910, her father's birth month. The idea then traveled to Congress and was acknowledged by several presidents. In 1916, Woodrow Wilson, the same president who signed a proclamation for a National Mother's Day, approved a Father's Day, but no proclamation. Calvin Coolidge also acknowledged the day as a national event in 1924. It wasn't until 1966 when President Lyndon Johnson signed an executive order for the nation to celebrate Father's Day on the third Sunday of June.
I want to read this right quick because since then, America has definitely changed their views about fathers. So I want to read you what the past view of fathers in the eyesight of the presidents in America at that time was. In the homes of our nation, we look to fathers to provide the strength and stability which characterize successful family. By the way, 1966, you're in the midst of the civil rights movement and all these other things that was going on. And at least in the black neighborhoods, they were arguing about the black fathers being, taken out of their homes. But anyway, so you got all that extra stuff going on at the time this is Father's Day is established. Go figure, right? But anyway, so it says, in the homes of our nation, we look to fathers to provide the strength and stability which categorize the successful family. And they obviously don't think that way now. If the father's responsibilities are many, his rewards are also great. The love, the appreciation, the respect of children and spouse. It is the desire to acknowledge publicly these feelings we have for the fathers of our nation that has inspired the Congress to call for the formal observance of Father's Day. And then he signs it, blah, 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 and they must fly the flag on that day, blah, 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 blah. All right. So obviously that view has changed as you're about to see in this video. But nevertheless, that's what's going on one end of America, while also at the same time in America, there's the civil rights movement going on and these other problems in black communities and, lack of fathers and things like that, that pursued after that. But nevertheless, I wanted to pause the screen to read what the mindset was at this time. But let's listen on.
A day for all to honor the love and gratitude which they bear for their fathers. But it still wasn't an official national holiday. Not until 1972. That's when Congress passed an act and President Nixon signed Father's Day into law.
Meaning you will honor your fathers on that day. It's the law. It's the law. Not, hey, I honor my mother and father every day, the Lord said. Now there's this pressure. Now there's this law. You esteem fathers this day. And people are responding to pressure now. And now become this whole national society thing that takes place among the heathen nation, which is America. And nevertheless, that it was then signed as a law now at this point. All right.
Today, 6 in 10 men in America are fathers, which means out of 121 million men over 15,
over 15, by the way. All right, they're dads.
75 million are dads. So this year on June 20th, whether you have one dad, two dads, or some granddads,
let's run this back. Because the lady that came up with the idea and wanted to honor her father and all the other fathers, was she thinking about, I want this holiday to be so inclusive that whether you got two dads, honor them too. You think that lady was thinking that while she was in that church service? Ooh, she could have been. Who knows? But back at that time when a lot of Christians had a little bit more morals about themselves, you think she was thinking that? I don't think so. So she grew up in a house with both parents. Her dad was not gay. All right? Or homosexual, whatever. She wanted to honor him and all other dads like him. All right? But when it becomes a law governed by the heathen nation, which is America, then all their politics and all those other things become involved. And now it's all this corruption and paganism ideas and propagandas mixed into this thing. And it's corrupt. The whole feast is corrupt. All right? If you want to say her intentions were pure, this feast ain't pure. It's corrupt. It's a corrupt holiday. So, since it is politically driven, politically signed into law, and they govern it, the day you're going to do it, and what's like enforced and pushed in it, traditions-wise, now with this idea about all the sex change and all the stuff that's going on right now, it's interwoven with it. So if somebody was to ask me today, Pastor J, is God against Father's Day? I'm going to tell them, yes, he is. Because this entire day is corruption. From their propaganda to the commercials to the vanity to this whole political push of same-sex marriages, it's all corrupt. There is no purity in it. Christians should avoid it, to not be even associated with the heathens that's pushing this stuff. Instead, you just think about yourself. What's wrong with honoring your mother today? Nothing wrong with honoring your mother that day, since that day would just be like all the other days that you were honoring them beforehand. So it's not about the day you're honoring them. It's the vanity and the lies and the corruptions that the feast brings. Not the idea of honoring your parents in general. Because when you honor them in general, you ain't doing all that Father's Day, Mother's Day stuff every day. You ain't buying them cards every day. You honor them so much. You buying them cards every day. Flowers, always taking mom out every day for lunch and dinner and dressing her up and posting pictures of her online. You ain't doing that. That's all traditions associated with Mother's Day and Father's Day. And you do it a certain day because they told you you're going to do it that day. It's a law. It's a national observance. And all the propaganda that come with it, you also join with too. You mingle yourself into with it. That's why the same thing like with Thanksgiving. All right. Though it's not going back to some false god or wherever. The point is that there's a lot of confusion, myths, lies, contentions, and all these things surrounding what happened with the Pilgrims and the Indians. And many people on that day that are Indian descent, they actually go to Virginia and they mourn before them little rocks and stuff in honor of their foreparents that was murdered by those explorers. So Thanksgiving to them is a what's the word I'm looking for? An offensive thing. So us as Christians who are to live to not give an offense to the Jew, Greek, or the Church of God, we're not to be so concerned about our bellies for that day and having fun that we disregard our brothers and sisters, because some of them are Christians that morning, and let alone the heathens who we're supposed to be a light to. We're not going to do any good by offending them, by celebrating something they find offensive because of what took place historically speaking. So as believers, we don't have nothing to do with it. We're going to eat that day. The Lord's going to take care of us, but we will not celebrate Thanksgiving and to separate ourselves from the rest of the world in their Thanksgiving feast. We will not eat the common meals associated with Thanksgiving. We won't be online sharing plates, so nobody thinks we're gathering together for Thanksgiving. We're not talking about happy Thanksgiving. We ain't asking you what you thankful for that day. We ain't doing nothing associated with this tradition to connect ourselves in any way so there'll be no confusion. And so we don't give no offense. But people are concerned about their bellies and fun. They can't help themselves. But this is the type of life we're supposed to live. So now, every person that's connecting themselves with Father's Day, happy Father's Day, happy Father's Day, happy Father's Day, all that propaganda and all that garbage and this stuff right here.
So this year on June 20th, whether you have one dad, two dads,
all interwoven together because you're all celebrating the same feast. You're all celebrating the same, ain't two feasts going on. It's one feast. And in both stories, the person who had the idea opposed what y'all are doing today. The woman spent her whole life inheritance. You understand how angry she had to be about this? To do something like that? Willing to go to jail over it? How many of y'all willing to go to jail? Huh? Y'all ain't even willing to go to jail over stuff you should be willing to go to jail over. Let alone a feast day. Some national holiday. But she felt in her spirit to oppose it in all manners, even to the point of being arrested and spending her whole life earnest to try to get it abolished. She felt it necessary since she was the originator of it. And what it had become, the vanity that began in her mind, became full vanity once it got opened out to the world. And she saw it for what it was and what it became. She didn't see what it was going to lead to, because had she saw that beforehand, when the idea came in her mind, she would have never called out to that guy to have it state recognized. And she would have never reached out to the YMCA to get it nationally recognized. She would have never called to the president to try to get signed into law. Had she seen it, what it was going to become. What starts off seeming like a good idea, later on you're going to see what it really causes. And you're not to be so foolish and be like, well, the idea in its original form, it was just a good idea. It was purity in her heart. What is it now? We're not arguing about a dead woman and her idea. So when the question is asked to me, is God opposed to Mother's Day? Yes. Here it is. Here's why. And matter of fact, even the lady that you played, she's opposed to it today. Father's Day. Is God against Father's Day? Let me think. While God's sitting down watching the news alone with you, and America says it's Father's Day today. Whether you got one dad, two dads, granddad, if you're a woman who says you're a man, you're a Father's Day. It's your day. And here you is, happy Father's Day, happy Father's Day, happy Father's Day. You're joining yourself, intermingling yourself with the heathen affairs of this world that are corrupted, that angers God. You're not missing out on nothing by avoiding it, since you obey the Lord every day and all your parents, your mother and your father. But what the heathens or what the nation has signed into law and calls Mother's Day is full of all manner of corruptions and political driven agendas and two dads and all this other stuff, all that stuff. Look at that corruption on the screen. You want to be associated with that? Enough of just saying, dang me. Separate yourselves. Did not the law of God teach you anything? Do you understand why the Jews couldn't mar the corners of their beards or even cut that little section of hair around their temple? Do you understand why? Hair don't commend you to God. But why did God say don't do it? God wanted his people to be so set apart from the nations round about them. The Lord had it put into his law things that forbid them from even looking like in their appearance the nations. So they would not be even associated as they walked around with that little spot around the temple shaved off like the heathen Egyptians worshiping false gods and stuff that they're doing in honor of, that the Jews were being associated even in appearance with them heathen Egyptians. So God said, thou shalt not do that. So the Lord has shown us the same teaching that we've gotten in the New Testament. We're not only commanded not to do evil, but we're avoided to abstain from every appearance of it too. And the things that are evil, the Lord has shown us is that it's not always according to some verbatim command. Thou shalt not. And if you can't find one scripture passage that says, thou shalt not go to the games, thou shalt not be a boxer, thou shalt not be an MMA fighter, thou shalt not be a track star, thou shalt not be a sumo wrestler, thou shalt not be a kung fu monk on a mountaintop. Even if you don't see a commandment that says that verbatim, the Lord has shown us, even where there's no verbatim command, you're still held accountable to a verbatim command of love and charity. And even if you got the liberty to do a certain thing, you better be careful that you don't abuse or destroy your brother by way of it, and therefore sin by breaking the verbatim commandment of love, which does no harm to his neighbor. So this is why we know, without there being a verbatim commandment that MMA is evil, of the evil one, and that there's no command that says, thou shalt not go to the theaters. We know because of the things that are done there and that are promoted, meaning the immodesty, the hypocrisies, the playing out roles and saying things that God hates, that he don't want us to say out our mouths, taking on the characters of people and individuals that the Lord says put off, those corrupt ways for a Christian like Chadwick Boseman when he was alive to play James Brown. So for him to play James Brown, all you Christians hand clapping, oh, good actor he was. While he's appeasing your thoughts of being a great actor, he's acting out drug use, sexual immorality since he was a playboy, and then and singing ungodly songs, but he's entertaining you, and it's a movie. Then he takes that image off. Then he plays the gods of Egypt. The same Egyptians the Lord destroyed, but y'all sitting there hand clapping them. Oh, when the Lord opened doors, nobody can. There was a door open from the Lord. So he plays Egyptian gods, the same gods your God destroyed on Passover, but you Christians feel like y'all at liberty now in Christ to play those same gods. Then he takes that Kings of Egypt outfit off. Then he puts on the image of Bastet, the daughter of the chief god of the Egyptians, the Black Panther. He puts that on. And all you black people, Wakanda Forever. All y'all, that's all you care about. We need representation on the screen. Y'all ain't even think about the Lord. The pastor said, y'all don't have nothing to do with these places in any shape. Y'all too concerned about your race being represented. And then you wonder why your community's in the shambles. Because y'all oppose God so much. Y'all love evil. Y'all whine when you can't do it. If they was to shut all the black actors out of Hollywood and don't pay them good money and don't really hire them, they ain't going to be like, oh, good, this is good for our people. Because God doesn't want us to be hypocrites and acting and doing these things that he hates for fun and for money. And thank the Lord, it's great for our community. No, they're going to complain and whine. We are disproportionately held back. We're not able to blah, 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 blah. And they treat the black people wrong in Hollywood. You're whining because you don't get to do evil the way you want to. God's mercy kept you out of that stuff, and you whine and complain until he opened up and abandoned you to do what you wanted to do. Now you're dressing like females on the stream talking about Medea. Now y'all playing the president harlot, Kerry Washington. Now y'all on BET and Tyler Perry's play Sisters, and y'all having sexual immoral scenes. Now y'all playing Egyptian gods and ancestor worship, but y'all, we represent it. Y'all go ahead, black don't crack. That's all you care about. Carnality. And then you wonder. It was God's mercy when you weren't allowed to do all those things. But you didn't want to suffer. You wanted equality. To do the same evils the evil oppressors was doing. So you whined and protested and whined and put your lives on the line to do what God hates, and God let you do it. Now look at you. Now look at you. Now on these panels, now y'all come up and y'all joke about it now. Now you got ministers talking about, we got beef with Tyler Perry, do what he do. And so I say, dunamis. Shouldn't we all have a problem with what Tyler Perry doing, dressing like Medea, and all that evil he's doing on stage? Then it turns into, I can't speak on behalf of the body. My response is, what? Aren't we part of Christ's body? We know Christ, right? If Christ has a problem with it, his body members has a problem with it. How could you not speak on behalf of the whole body when we're talking about immorality? Now it turns into personal convictions and ideas, and we ain't gonna agree about everything, and it's okay, as long as we agree on essentials. It turns into that whole stuff, all that excuse making. And then y'all degrade one another, call each other muck runners and all this other stuff, and y'all laugh about it. And then you want to ask me, did the person take offense? So if the person don't take offense to what you said, that means what you said was good? Is that how we to judge things? I slapped the man. I oppressed him. But he took joy in his sorrows and weaknesses. Therefore, what I did wasn't bad. Sister Paul said, find joy. Matter of fact, expect troubles. And when they come, that's a great opportunity for great joy. So for the Christians that found great joy in their oppressions from their oppressors, therefore that made the oppression not evil. Since the people that were being treated that way, they never insulted back. They never threatened. They didn't curse you. Instead, they gave you blessings in return. So because they showed you mercy, therefore the evil you was doing to them is now good. But if they cry when you do it, if they fall down to their knees and say, why you do this? Then it's evil. Is that what we're waiting on? Surely that's not what the Lord said. If corrupt speech come out of your mouth, even as a joke, you spoke corruption. If you deceive somebody just to get a laugh because it's a prank, you still lied. You don't go, well, they laughed. They understood it was a joke. It's good that what I did there. You're worthy of the condemnation that's coming to you. You that call evil good and good evil. I don't really care what you guys call me and all the other stuff. It might hurt. It might hurt my little human heart. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. So you guys see from the historical Mother's Day and Father's Day. Both of them began with these two sisters whose deceased parents died. They wanted to honor them in a special way on their birthdays. And this is why you get that same custom that goes around many Christians where this heavenly birthday thing, that vain custom. Nobody ever condemns them. I won't say nobody. When I say nobody, I mean like unanimously majority. I ain't saying nobody like literally. Because there's people that's like, Christian, why y'all doing that? That's pagan. All right. But unanimously, like known majority speak out against that. People don't condemn that. Birthday of your deceased parent come around and the person's like, oh, happily heavenly birthday, mommy. I know you're looking down on me and blah, 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 blah. All that vanity, lying to themselves, make themselves feel good. Heavenly birthday. There's no time in heaven. You don't get older. There's no advancement of time. There's not days in heaven. First day in heaven, then there's night. And then there was morning. Second day in heaven. It doesn't happen like that. They can't hear you. So what good is your speech? Happy heavenly birthday. The person you're talking to ain't even listening to you. They can't even hear you. So you're just doing that for yourself. It's to no avail. It's vain babbling. And that stems from that old ancient doggone ancestor worship, memorializing stuff. That's where it comes from. So, happy heavenly birthday. I know you happy looking down. She ain't looking down. And she ain't happy. If she ain't happy, she happy. But it ain't because she looking down at you. She can't see you. She can't hear you. She ain't answering your prayers. God ain't sending her spirit down to see you in dreams. None of that stuff is happening. You can say happy birthday, but she don't get older. Let's say she died at 50 years old, and in heaven, whatever age you died at, that's the age you permanently are. Let's say you died at 50. In heaven, you enter, you're 50. You're just 50 forever. Let's just say that's the case. All right? And even that is a foolish assumption. But entertain the foolishness right quick. Let's just say 50 years old, in heaven, you're stuck at 50 because there's no days, no advancement of time. You don't get older. All right. Here it is. A year from you not being on earth, here's your relatives going, happy heavenly birthday. I know that you're looking down on us. You can't hear them. You can't hear their congratulations. You ain't seen them. None of that's happened, and you're not even a year older. What is a birthday? I can imagine happy birthday, and the person be like, what? If they could hear you, be like, what? Lord, what is a birthday? I do not know what a birthday is. Birthday is the day you've been born, but technically you've been born again while you was on earth. Let's say God saved you at 30 years old, and you've been walking with the Lord for 20 years while on earth, and then you died and went to heaven, and now you're stuck at the age that you died at. You've been with the Lord for 20 years, and now you enter into the eternity realm where there's no advancement of time. So, and there's no aging, and there's no birth, there's no sex, there's no child laboring, there's none of that goes on in the kingdom of God. And yet on earth, people are doing this to be seen and to appease their own consciences. That's why people go to the graves and they stand on the grave and they're like, oh, mama, I know. They're just talking to themselves. And they feel like the person is hearing what they're saying. It's vain babbling. Thank you. The dead know nothing. They don't hear you. They don't answer your prayers. They ain't coming to nothing, none of that. That's all heathen ideas. But people say this for themselves. For themselves. If they're with the Lord truly, let them be with the Lord. And one day, Lord's will, you'll see them. But you sitting there holding empty conversations to yourself and then lying and deceiving yourself as if the person's hearing you and talking back. Mama, show me. I know if you was here, you would have shown me. Show me a sign, mama. You know who do stuff like that? Wakanda. Black Panther do stuff like that. They put their ancestors in the dirt. They believe the ancestors was hovered around that tree in Africa, or whatever the case after they done dead, all the former dead Black Panthers, and then you can go and visit them, and they can give you guidance in your life. That's what they believe. It's that same stuff that angered God that people are still mixing in, that paganism. You purify yourselves. You know the difference, spookism? Because I know from what anger that came from. You know the difference is? I'm doing it to mock and to expose the foolishness of it. Y'all ain't exposing no foolishness. Y'all commend it. Y'all encourage it. Y'all make excuses for it. Y'all take up for it. Please know the difference. So, the Mother's Day thing was just like the thing that kind of set all this off. But what I wanted to focus on was the continual evils that continue on among those who profess the Lord. And y'all joking and degrading one another. Y'all speaking ignorant, calling people niggas and all this other stuff. And then the return is just, y'all know how I can be. Y'all know how. I don't want to hear about intent. I don't want to hear about intent. Y'all hide behind that excuse for too much. Don't give me intent. What came out of the mouths? What came out of the mouths? Was it degrading speech or not? We'll talk about intent afterwards. Admit the first thing. Was it good? Was it evil? Was it uplifting or was it degrading? Which one? Which one? We'll talk about intent and why they did it. Intent is not what you did. Intent is why you did what you did. I'm asking you, what you did? Of course, every action that a man does is driven by intentions and purposes, whether it be true or you just being deceived. Every man's got a purpose of why they do what they do. And it proved, and the intent of why I was saying the things I was saying was proven in what I said, because you clearly understood by listening to what I said that I was mocking it as evil and as foolishness and as that we should not do it. You knew I was using it as an example to teach you what not to do. So my intent showed in my words and how I addressed y'all. So what pure intention is there when you say, for example, when Elder Tim said to me, when we was talking about that whole, whether they want to blow somebody's cap or not, and they try to bust in the house and try to rape them or something like that. And I was telling them, we don't got a justification for Christ to bust men's caps. Throw your body in the way, get your family out, do what you can do to, save your life, the life of your family members, even if it's putting your life on the line. But we don't have a justification from Christ to pick up arms or swords and blow their caps. All right. We don't have that justification. And so you say, you got a little of that other thing in you. Talking about, sugar in the tank. Gay. Why he was in the midst of his anger and all that other stuff. So, and then that led other people to speak that way in the comment section about me. So, it's these actions. It's these things that's done because of that contention, that rivalry spirit that people got, that trying to win the argument spirit people got, that whole, just laughing and buddy and all this evil takes place, man, cursing his own seed. That should have saddened y'all. But it didn't sadden you. Laughing, carrying on. The rest of the conversation went on like normal. Nobody's upset and up in arms. Dude, come on there, but I want to admonish you in the name of the Lord. Why he's showing his admiration for idols in the background on his wall, and y'all ignore all of what you see, and you just be like, oh man, you giving some good information. Y'all ain't, where's the indignation for when you see these things? And when you hear these words, you should never be comfortable degrading one another for fun. You're distorting Christ, his image, and his message. And every elder that hear this and just laugh and let it go on and put them laugh emojis, God see you all. He see all y'all. He hear what y'all say. He hear what y'all do too. This is sad. I've never been around a bunch of people that it is so easy for them to disrespect ministers of the Lord. Even Paul, when he was among known hypocrites, had respect for him. He even repented when he disrespected that priest. Even though that man was truly a hypocrite. Because he understood and said, thou shalt not speak evil of the leader of thy people. But man, you get these people, they don't know nothing, bro. They don't even understand the truth of the gospel. They get on there and they're disrespecting, overtalk ministers and elders. Like that one guy got on there. So y'all don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah. This is disrespectful, man. Comment section, as soon as you say something somebody don't like, they don't even understand what you're talking about. I remember when I first brought up the whole thing about the Olympics and stuff like that. All that legalistic, black Hebrew Israelite spirit, blah, 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 all that slander. Y'all ain't even know what y'all was talking about. Y'all ain't even look into it. Half of y'all ain't even know what I'm talking about. Elders fighting against it. No, there's no scripture. There's no scripture you can show, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, bro, this is a whole feast dedicated to a false god. What are you talking about? What in the world are y'all talking about? One day I showed a clip. Showed the people praying to Apollo and everything at the opening of the ceremony. And then all of a sudden, I ain't know they was doing all that. That ain't right. Because y'all so worried about a stupid foot race. So worried about a discus throw. So worried about a javelin throw. So worried about a high jump and a long jump and USAA basketball. You don't even know why they're congregating together. You think it's just the game and just sport. Yeah, it's just a game. It's just a sport to somebody. They're doing it on to somebody. Why all these nations gathered together? Why is it so highly esteemed in the world? They told you right in the open ceremony. They send their little stupid Greek priests out with the fire and the sun, since they worship the sun and all that. They light that little stupid torch, and they pray to Apollo and Athena and all that stuff at the temple grounds in Olympia, Greece. Then they run the little flame all the way to the ceremony, and which else when you see the people coming around with the torch. Then they light that big conch drum, just as in the ancient days. Fireworks go off. Psh, the Olympic Games, summer 2024. Yay! And it's by all that idolatry, you concerned about a foot race and who you want to win. I want Sha'Carri what the girl name is? Richardson to win. I want Shirley Ann Price, whatever her name is. I want her to win. Who y'all got? Who y'all got? Who y'all got? Do any of you got God? Do any of you got God? Who you got? Blinded by pleasures of this world. Must grow in our knowledge of the Lord and put away this carnal stuff. The Lord has given us plenty to enjoy. Plenty of pleasures he allows to enjoy within righteous guidelines. But you ought not to corrupt, like fishing, for example. I love to fish. Fishing's good. It's a pleasure that the Lord has given us. Get the fish, thank the Lord for it, go home and eat. But then somebody comes along and says, hey, man, I'll bet you $100,000, man. Let's you get the biggest fish. Now, all of a sudden, that purity and thanks of God to catch the fish and give, God has fed you. Now you go home and feed your family. Now, all of a sudden, it becomes, I got to beat him. Oh, it's a big one. You got to, oh, look at this. It turns into idolatry. Then it turns into contention and strife. Now it's because vanity and boasting you're looking for. Now you corrupted that which the Lord has given you. Then somebody sees that and be like, man, we can make a lot of money off of this. Throw all your money in the pot. Now we're going to have the big bass tournament, $100,000, 125 anglers out there, and all they're getting all this fish. Guys, let them catch all this fish. They catch all this eatable fish, and the fish, if they caught it on a regular day, when they weren't worried about strife and vanity, if they caught a 1 to 2 pounder bass, they were like, oh man, thank the Lord, and put it in their bucket, because they know that's food to eat. But they ain't there to eat. They ain't there to give God thanks. They ain't there for the Lord to feed him and his family. They're there for pride and vanity. So when they catch that 1 pounder, they get upset. Oh, this little dink. Ungrateful. Oh, a little 1 pound and a half. There's a little ding and just take it, throw it in the water. Because they want the 5 pounder. They want the 10 pounder. Why? They can't eat the 1.5, 2 pounder? They can't feed their family with that? They ain't there to feed their family. They're there to win. They're there to overcome one another. They're over there for pride and bragging rights, a trophy and money. That's why they're there. And so they corrupt what the Lord has given them to eat and to enjoy themselves. It's a great activity to do for meditation and just to kind of get away from everything, just floating on the, I don't know about y'all. A lot of people bank fish. I hate bank fishing. I boat. Put me in the water, okay? Even if I ain't catching nothing, just let me float, all right? I hate walking along the long paths, trying to get to a certain spot now. Put me in the boat. Put me in the kayak, all right? So, but it's a good place to just go. And if you with your brothers in the Lord, man, there's so much time y'all can sit and talk about things of the Lord, man, and sitting there catching fish and catching that fish, man. Y'all put your fish together, man, go back, have a little fry or whatever the case is. Honest fun and activity and exercise. Believe it or not, it's a great exercise, especially if you want to pedal kayak or something. Great exercise, but you don't have to corrupt it. You can do this in purity. God has given you that. But when people are making strife and contention and rivalry and competition and all this stuff, you corrupted it. You're taking the whole point away for why God giving it to you. And now people are just concerned with outdoing one another. And so those are the things you got to put away. Put it away. But everybody don't understand that. And you'll never understand that. If y'all keep on worrying about who the Israelites is today and how the future going to be, and you're arguing about that, and I'm a this mill, that mill, 100 mil, 2,000 mil. You arguing about all this stuff for hours. And as soon as somebody says competitive sports, put him out into the outer abyss. He's a legalist. He can't come here. He can't get the mic. Let's dedicate 12 hours of our day arguing about DNA that somebody can come tomorrow, kind of go against, and then we got to do this whole thing again. Because we can't ever get to a solution, can't ever get to the firm truth, and just leave it at that and move on. Over and over and over and over again, you put up with that. Y'all laugh, cut jokes, be disrespectful, degrade one another, call each other muck runners and niggas and all kind of stuff come out of your mouths. But it's just all fun and games. A man that curses his own seed, ignore an elder, and continue to curse his own seed, and nobody's upset. But then I start talking about it, then the chat section starts to go, legalist, what? He missed the whole intent. And that's what I start seeing. I'm sick of it. I don't care if I'm blocked to the outer abyss. I ain't blocked to the outer abyss with the Lord. I don't care about being blocked to the outer abyss online. You're going to fear the Lord or not fear the Lord. You're either going to purify yourselves as the Lord said to do or not. A lot of them elders, they don't even agree with each other. You got some that come on there, churches that allow for women, bishops, and pastors and stuff. They be like, that's against the Lord, it's against the gospel, it's against the whatever, blah, 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 blah. Then you have other ones that allow it to come right in your presence. They both be on the panel together. They avoid those discussions, and they just talk about, or they come against the Black Hebrew Israelites, or they talk about some other thing that they can kind of go in about with each other, whether they agree or not agree about it. But those other weightier things, the thing where people like the church that done that is like contrary to the gospel to walk their way, they don't talk about stuff like that. They don't talk about that stuff. I can't be around that. That's stressful. That's stressful. That reminds me of when I first started talking about my experience in the Black Hebrew Israelites. And I wasn't trying to be no pastor, minister, or nothing. I was just talking about my experience being up in IUIC, what happened. Now I'm fully out of the movement. I didn't start talking as soon as I left IUIC. It was 6 months before I left the movement. I left them, and I was still in the movement for 6 months after that. And so, but after the Lord had mercy and brought me out of the movement altogether, then I started to speak about my experience in the movement itself, specifically IUIC, so that was the school I was with. Then and the very first interview was with Adam Coleman at Truth Podcast. And then from that, people heard me, I guess, like my livery or whatever. And so I got invited to then. That's when I first heard about Faithful to God and Sister Cherry and all of them. And so I remember there was them and Vocab, all of them was together at one time. They was all together like one group. I forgot what it's called. SOG. And then and so they had reached out to me. I remember I was in my studio in another part of Texas, and they called me like a everybody on it, and it was asking me to join them. Since at that time, I don't know if the brother Marcus was part of them yet. He left before me. He was one of the leaders at the Virginia camp in IUIC. He might have been there already. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, even if he was, me and him was the only people actually in the movement among the entire crew. So we were very valuable members because we had insight, shared the same mind, taught the doctrines, all that stuff. So the other ones were only seeing it from afar. We were in it, all right? And so we were vital members to that. And so, but I remember I told him that day when I was in my office. I said, hey, cool, I'll come over there. But, hey, the minute that this thing get out of hand or corrupt, whatever case, I'm out of there. I told him that from the jump. So started doing the things. Y'all saw me on Faithful channel. I ain't had no YouTube channel. I wasn't even caring about a YouTube channel. I was over there with Faithful and them, dealing with the doctrines and things like that. All right. Over a process of time, corruption started to become exposed that I didn't know about. You had some that had women pastors and elders over there. They was afraid to deal with that. You had people over there. You had some members, even in the same group, believe each other were heretics, but it was still on the same team because it was coming against the Black Hebrew Israelites. When I found out about that they don't even agree with each other. They're calling each other heretics. Yet they're together because they got this common goal of coming against the Black Hebrew Israelite movement. And I ain't in that for that. Once I found that out, I tried to have some conversations privately with them. It didn't change, so I exit. Because this ain't about just jumping on the movement. Because like I tell you guys, and I'm about to go into spat. And if anybody want to chop this up, you could chop this up what I'm about to say right now. And this is sad. This is sad. I know it's a move. I know it's a movement from the evil one. I know it's not of God. All right. But let me explain to you something. Out of my time, my 3.5, 4 years in there, something that I never witnessed while among them, that it's a shame that I witnessed it so often among other believers. As heretics as they are, you ain't going to walk into one IUIC school. I'm just going to use IUIC right now. You ain't going to walk into one IUIC school and see any image from the idols of the nations. You ain't going to find no Bastet. You ain't going to find no Ra. You ain't going to find no any other little frog god. You ain't going to find no Thor. You ain't going to find no Loki or nothing. And their entire school body is unanimous about it. There's not no, well, you guys think that's okay, but we don't think that, and we're not going to see eye to eye. They're not like, it's unanimous. These are heathen gods. We have nothing to do with that. Yeah, I come among brothers and sisters, and there's white Jesus, there's black Jesus. Now, granted, they got the little black Jesus, right? And they all unanimous about that. Even with that thing, they're unanimous about. So you ain't going to see another version of that. It's black. Everybody in their entire thing is just black, all right? In the whole movement, it's black, all right? But in the churches, some black, some white, some got nothing. And even if you got the ones that got the white one, the ones that got none, I'll look at the white ones and be like, it's okay, we're brothers. We're not going to agree on everything. You know. So you're not going to see the remnants of the idols of the nations. Now, one thing they started to do now, funny enough, that they didn't do before, all right, is that whole like the Nike and stuff like that. Now, I see some of their members in a little music video. I see they be rocking them Nikes and things like that. Things that I knew that they were against at one point at least. They even started, I don't know why they did it. I don't know the whole backstory, and I ain't really about to pry into it. So it don't matter to me. But I even noticed now that especially in IUIC Atlanta, that when they go live on Sundays when they do the radio show, I noticed they got sisters up there now, kind of input and stuff like that. That's something that they didn't do before. So I know some changes up happened. All right. But the point is that you're not going to see the idols of the nations there. No one in their entire school is going to commend Tyler Perry for cross-dressing like a female and making people laugh. None of them. They got their own other stuff. But I'm pointing out things that are so commonly laughed about and made light among those who profess the name of Christ that I've been around, that if I walked into one of their schools, I'll never experience it. You experience a whole bunch of other stuff, but you ain't going to experience those things. And so I'm mentioning these things because even when you go among all the sisters are veiled. And they'll read the passage that was given by the apostle to the church as the reason why they're to do it. Then when I get around other believers, everybody, you'll ask the person, should women do it? Should they not do it? And they won't give y'all an answer. They'll just say, that can be interpreted different ways. Somebody could say blah, 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 and somebody could say blah, blah, blah. That ain't what the question is, should they? Or should they not? Then you get some that try to attempt to answer, and they'll say that was society at that time, temple prostitutes, the women were out of order, blah, blah, blah. That don't apply to us today. Even though the apostle said, for this reason, that the first man didn't come from the woman, but the woman came from the man, and the man wasn't made for the woman's sake, but the woman for the man's sake. For this reason, and because the angels are watching, a woman should wear a covering over her head to show she's under authority, even though he told you why. And it's in all God's churches. So I don't know why the argument about society and it was just for that church when the apostle said this is a custom in all the churches. I don't understand why they would resort to that. But anyway, if you walk into all their schools, they're unanimous about it. And that's a shame to us because we know they be lying. They got a false image of Christ, and they'll use the very passages the apostle gave to us. And they'll shame us by it because y'all won't hold on to what you should. Ain't no woman passing in the entirety of the movement. And they'll read the same passages the apostles gave to us to why they don't do that. I get around the churches. All these excuses. Excuse for every doggone thing. It's annoying. And they'll use that fact to try to say, Christianity is false and blah, 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 blah. And because of your hypocrisies, you fulfill what the scripture says when the Lord said his name is blasphemed among the nations because of you, because of your hypocrisies. God said that about Israel under the past when they were in covenant with God. But now that the church, the believing Jews and the believing Gentiles that are one, now that we're in covenant with God, but because of the hypocrisy that reign among us, we cause the name of the Lord to be blasphemed and the word of God to be maligned because of the way that we act. So now the whole world got this bad taste in their mouth for Christians because of these evil people under the Christian name that's done perverted things throughout the centuries. And so now they look at all of us with disdain because of the hypocrisies that's been done. When they bring up the white Jesus, when they bring up the Rudolph and the Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy, and these things didn't come from heathens, they came from Christians. Christians came up with that. You know why the reason little kids look out the window, seeing if they're going to see a reindeer with a red nose is because of a Protestant Christian that said that. You know why people bringing trees in their house and talking about the star points to Christ, and this is the star that rested. This represents the star that rested and showed the wise men where to go. You know why everybody doing that now and putting gifts on the tree? Because you Christians. You Christians came up with that tradition. Y'all took it upon yourselves. You took it upon yourselves, trying to force convert pagans. When they say, you Christians got a bunch of bloodshed, they telling the truth. Though Christ never gave a commandment to kill anybody that rejected him. Vengeance is the Lord's. But men, politics, mixed in with the church, these emperors, they made edicts that the pagans that wouldn't convert, they'd kill them. They exile them from the land because they were trying to Christianize the empire. They did much evil, burnt people to the stake and everything. If they accept the image, if they become a Christian. So yeah, many people, fear for their lives, started calling themselves Christians. Not because they loved Christ. People for fear of their lives started going to the church. Not because they loved the Lord and wanted to come learn. And since in their heart they were unconverted, they perverted the converted message. And they perverted the ordinances that the apostles delivered to us. And now you got pagan Christians in the world. Whose fault is that? It started with the man of sin, the man of lawlessness that was revealed. And many of you carry on that same manual, that same mindset. But as the Lord said, and as the apostle said, the Lord, despite all of these things, the Lord knows those that are his. And as it's written, those that name the name of the Lord must depart from evil. That's why in Revelation, the Lord said, come out of her, my people. That harlot, that little harlot that ride upon them horses, that corrupted church, that corrupted Jerusalem. The corrupt traditions. Come out from amongst her, my people, and be not partakers of her sin, lest you partake in her plagues. That's why the Lord said that. This ain't really about Mother's Day. I don't even care about that. I don't even care about that. It's just another day. I love my mama. Given the opportunity, I honor her. I don't disrespect her. I don't talk back and belittle her and all this other stuff. Honor your mother the way that the Lord commanded. And if you do that, there's no reason to give special attention to honoring her. Like, what? So, and the same thing with my father. When I speak to my father, it's yes, sir, no, sir, dad, or something. I don't call him by his name. I never in my entire life called my father by his first name. Unless somebody who ain't him say, what's your dad's name? I don't go, Dad. That's not his name. Oh, his name is George. But when talking to him, and in the vicinity of the family and stuff, my dad say, hey, Jaron, sir, Dad. I don't go George. That's disrespectful. So I honor him. If he calls and says, son, whatever the case is, I need help, whatever the case is, it's then my duty to then help him since he helped raise me. If I do what the Lord wants, I don't have to give special attention to one particular day to esteem him. He's been esteemed every day, every chance I get to interact with him. That way, which is the Lord's way, come from the heart. But when the heathens make a law and say, today you will lift them up, today is Father's Day, now you start to do it because of the society pressures. Now, if a phone call don't come in on Mother's Day, all of a sudden there's people feel like you forgot about them. What? You didn't feel like I forgot about you yesterday? I ain't talked to you yesterday. Now today, because Mother's Day, you feel this, it's like this pressure, it's this like I owe you a phone call today because it's Mother's Day. It's not the way of the Lord, it's the way of men. And as the apostle said, he said, when he was talking to the church in Corinth about giving, he said, give according to what you have and what you don't have. He said, give eagerly, not reluctantly, and not as a response to pressure. Not as a response to pressure. Okay? So, when the Lord is giving you the way to do it, and it's not burdensome, and it's not this, everybody's looking at you, see what your action's going to be. Are you going to do something today? It's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day, it's Christmas. What? If you do what the Lord wants and do it every day from your heart as the Lord commands you to do, since you're imitating him in all that you do every day, then as you're doing that, there is no pressure. It's all done eagerly as the Lord give you desire and drives you as you live by and walking by the Spirit and be led by him. But when the heathens step in, see, and I'm going to use Christmas as the prime example. Every time the gospel is taught, we remember the Lord's birth. Every time we talk about being lowly and humble. We're literally talking about the birth of Christ. Just like this past Sunday, when we were talking about, when we were going through 2 Corinthians, and the apostle was talking about imitating Christ in all you do, and he referenced how Christ was rich and owned everything. And he gave all those riches up and came down as a slave and became poor so that we can inherit riches. Therefore, through Christ coming from heaven alone into an earthly body, teaches us, every believer everywhere, to be generous with our possessions. Without there having to be a commandment of thou shalt share your possessions with your neighbor. Without somebody having to say that to you. When you look at Christ, who owned everything and was rich, and laid those riches aside, got up off his high throne, came down as a slave and became poor so you can have what you need and be rich, that teaches you to be generous with all your possessions. And so when in being generous, it cannot be as a response to pressure. Or else it's not from generosity. It's from pressure. It's from somebody forcing you. You don't really want to do it. You're reluctant, but you got to do it because somebody's telling you to do it. And so it's not with that eagerness that comes from purity and being just driven by the Lord. Because the Lord's Spirit don't do this. The Lord doesn't have you honor your father every day, and without any man stepping in, all of a sudden, every day at a certain time of the year, the Spirit comes to you extra and be like, all right, lift your mother up just a little higher. Honor her just a little more. The Lord don't do that. Society did that. Society did that. And so now people walk around, they got a mark on the calendar. They ain't think about lifting their mom up so high any other day of the year. Or maybe outside of her birthday. But other than that, it's just regular day. Some of them talk to their parents, some of them don't. But Mother's Day come around, it's just like Easter. Everybody get loud. They want to wear them loud colored clothes. They don't walk around in clown clothes any other day of the year. All of a sudden, Easter come around, everybody in yellow suits and loud shoes, and the women walk around in ginormous hats. I know that's not in every church's tradition, whatever case, but predominantly in black churches, they do a lot of that. And so they got the little fashion shows and all that kind of stuff. Easter dress, Easter suit. You want to show off how they look. It become a fashion show now. And so that's not the way the Lord called us to live. All that is that pagan immorality that's in the churches. And we got to sweep it. I don't know. With all this sweeping up and cleaning up and removing leaven, they got to be done by these bakers, meaning the leaders. I don't see how they got the time to be worrying about trying to be the speakers of the whole black race. I don't see how they got the time to be doggone trying to be the NCAA or the NAACP for all the black community when they got all this cleaning up in the churches to do. I don't know how where they can hold up traffic and be protesting, talking about no justice, no peace, when they ain't got no peace in the churches. They ain't got no unity among the churches. Can't even walk among each other like you should. Now it's clique. You this clique. I'm this. I'm that. I'm this. I'm Calvinist. I'm Westboro. I'm Lutheran. I'm this and I'm that. And I'm this and I'm that. Paying people. They're charging you to come to seminars. You traveling on an airplane, paying tickets so you can get in somebody's presence so they can tell you things your leaders should be telling you for free. But you're paying them. Paying hundreds of dollars to hear, us believers, we should really take the faith serious. And, the word is the final authority. And anybody that come against this truth of the gospel, we got to separate ourselves. Yay! I spent $600 for that. I spent $600, took days off from work to fly down here and stay in a hotel, to buy a booking person, have you sign it, and for you to tell me something I should be hearing for free because the words of God. But that's what's going on. It's so much, man. I don't know how they got enough time in the day. That's why I always say, and all them books in the background, because I'm amazed. I've heard ministers boast about how many books they got in their room. I got over 5,000 books. Matter of fact, I got over 9,000 books. And in all them books you read, you still talking about you a Cowboys fan, still going to the stadiums? You go to the WWE match, you got all them books? What? That's what I always say, all them books in the background. What are they reading? What in the world is they reading? But that's not what the Lord calls us to do. So when somebody asks, is Mother's Day or Father's Day, is it corrupt? Let me ask you this. Is it? Is it corrupt? Is the commercial corrupt? Yeah. Is the national holiday corrupt? Yeah. Why? Because all this pagan immorality intertwined with it. And this vanity of esteeming people higher than what God said to esteem them. Is everybody going to hearken to what you're hearing today? No. But all I can do, I'm held accountable for what I say and teach. In a perfect world, yes. Every word that come out of my mouth, everybody hearken to it. But everybody's not. And so, but I'm held accountable for what I say and what I do. And so it's corrupt. It's corrupt. After seeing this, will you say it's not corrupt? And if it is corrupt, who's corrupted? Who's corrupting it? The devil. So why would I want to be associated with that? It's corrupt. So got nothing to do with that. Is this what they call Father's Day? I ain't doing no Father's Day. And just so you ain't confused, all right, instead of me sitting here trying to pick like it's some panfish, and I'm picking bones and out of the meat and spitting it out, and I keep on trying to revitalize or edit the feast. Instead of me trying to edit the feast, you know how to take care of that? It's corrupt. This thing's bad. It's all corrupted. So I'm gonna take this whole man-made tradition that's all full of corruptions. I'm gonna take it, throw it all away in the trash, because I don't need it to serve the Lord. First thing, I don't even need it to serve the Lord. Me throwing away Father's Day doesn't make me dishonor my father. But I do dishonor God if I attach myself to Father's Day. So, me not eating turkey on whatever day Thanksgiving is, things like November 27th or something like that. Me avoiding the normal societal Thanksgiving meal on Thanksgiving, so that nobody associates me with this feast. Meat don't commend me to God, neither do drinks. But associate myself with this thing that is such offensive, and me being attached to that. So now when people see me and they see me, Happy Thanksgiving, they know I'm connected to that. And when I run into some people that's offense, they take offense at me. And since I'm supposed to be a representative of Christ, they're going to be offended at Christ. Imagine a part of Christ's body offending you. Ooh. And then even after they express their offense and how they feel about it, you still do it in front of their face. It's been done to me, and I've watched people do it. Even if you're like, he's legalistic, he don't do Christmas, he think it's idolatry. All right, that's fine. Let's say I'm legalistic, I got a weak conscience, and I believe that Christmas is idolatry. Fine, let's say that's the case. When I come before you, because I didn't deny the Lord, if anything, I'm just a legalistic, weak believer, right? So I come before you, who's supposed to be a stronger person that got all the liberty and the strength. You know, it ain't no God. Okay, whatever. So I get in your presence. You know what I am because I've already expressed it. You see me in my weakness. And instead of putting it away so you don't destroy me, you further pound it on me. You know I don't like it. But playing devil's advocate, you be like, is God against Christmas? You be like, I know y'all don't celebrate, but Merry Christmas anyway. You continue to do that. And all that does is spring up more anger in me, in my weakness. And it leads to more, you're an idolater. And then it leads to more division. And you know why? Because you, the super strong one, are too weak to put it away. Because you're not really walking in love. You think love is quoting true words or understanding some scripture passage and can quote it. But in action, you sin every time. Because here's your weak brothers. You won't put it away. It's like a brother or sister that's weak in conscience and believe that pork is still unclean because they've been under this first system so long, and the conscience didn't let them go yet. You know this. They're in your presence. Wisdom should say, out of love, we're not talking about no food. But no, you bring it up anyway. Then all of a sudden, be like, hey, then Berean or somebody asks y'all a question like, you gonna eat that pork sandwich or you gonna put it away? What are you gonna do? And then you get the Christians clueless in their response. Not even thinking. They don't think about their own bellies and the fact that food ain't unclean, they forgot the other part of the teaching. And they be like, sure, if somebody brought me a pork sandwich, sure, I'll eat it right now. Matter of fact, I'll eat a pork sandwich right now. Then the person that's supposed to be weak, they get all, that's unclean. And y'all start arguing for 8 hours. Why? Because of you, not because of the weak person, because of you. You didn't have discernment. You didn't practice wisdom. You didn't walk in love. You further smack them in their weak minds with your strength instead of doing what the Lord said by the strong bear and the infirmity of the weak. Keep that opinion of yours between yourself and God so there'll be unity among the brothers and sisters. I know you got a weak conscience. We ain't talking about food. We know what the truth is regarding it. But if I go back and forth with him about this, and if I eat the sandwich in front of him, I'll be sinning. Even in my liberty, I'll be sinning. But people only think about themselves, like the apostle said. He said they'll only be concerned for themselves and their money. They'll be heartless and unforgiving, unmerciful, ungrateful. They act religious, but they'll deny the power that'll make them godly. We're watching these things today. But the Lord said, come out of them, my people, be not partakers of their sins, lest you partake of their plagues. Enough of ignorant. People that are elders got no excuse to be continually ignorant. And using profane speech and laughing about it and joking and leading the people to degrade one another in their speeches, but that's a joke and it's barbershop talk. And you don't got no excuse for that. That's carnality. Elders and leaders don't have an excuse of keep saying, you just know, you know how I get. You don't got an excuse. Stop getting like that. Because you're the guys. You're the ones people following. Everybody wants everything to be private. Private conversation. You should have put them to the side, bro. This ain't no Matthew 18 situation. This stuff happened in public. And every time they get mad enough, there's 3 of them. Every time they get mad enough with me, they dangle this imaginary email, or even if it's real, they won't share it with me. I got no clue what they're talking about. But they keep on like doing these little hints, like there's some secret double life and information they got on me. How evil is that? How evil is that? And they keep on dangling that. Every time they get in their little fleshes, they dangle that. So that's evil. But that's what these men do. I'm tired of it. Thank you for blocking me to the outer abyss. I knew my time was short anyway among you guys. All right. That's why I said that statement I said maybe the time before last or the time before that when I was there. When I was talking about something and the people were just going acting crazy. And I said, I don't know how long the Lord's going to allow me to keep. I don't know how many opportunities the Lord going to give me to talk to you guys about this. I just said that, right? I just said it. I knew my time was short. So Mother's Day was just the thing that set it all off. But what I'm talking about is the conduct that goes on, which is evil, and it leads nowhere. And everybody just continue to argue and degrade one another in speech. And then you get the people that's trying to defend it. Intent, brother. Intent. Speech, brother. Speech. The words that's in your mouth that come from your heart. This is the Lord's concerned about. Let me just read this, the word of apostles, and then we'll end it for today. I really do hope that people repent and all other stuff. And look, if there's something said about me somewhere else, I don't know. You ain't got to tell me. Don't feel obligated. You got to tell me. Don't tell me. I know whatever's gonna be said, gonna be said. Just let me be in the outer abyss, okay? Philippians 2, Paul said this to all the believers. Oh, let me put it on the screen. And then we're in. Is there any encouragement from belonging to Christ? Any comfort from his love? Any fellowship together in the Spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate? These are the words, but you gotta pun on these words, what it mean, what it look like. A tender-hearted person, this person, you'd be hard-pressed to find this person killing a butterfly that's on the concrete. They're so tender towards it, they go pick up a little stick and scoop it up and put it in the grass because they don't want to get smushed by a bike or something like that. That's the person being tender-hearted and compassionate upon the little creature. If you're that way with each other, would you ever put on gloves and beat each other up? Huh? No. Will you be ready to blow each other's brains out as soon as wrong happens to you? No. Would you be degrade each other's character for fun and for a laugh? No. But he says, are your hearts tender and compassionate? They make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other. Wholeheartedly means not just with your words, but with your hearts in lockstep. Loving one another, which we know what love is not and what love is. Love is keeping God's commandments. Love is not doing harm to your neighbor. Love is not boisterous. Love does not consider its own self, and all these other things the Bible said. We know what love is not. We know what love is. Love is not degrade a person for a laugh. We buddies. That's not love. That's the devil. It's corruption. So no Berean or anybody else that probably go off, I'm not condemning anybody to hell. The actions are condemnable. That's why you should repent. Just stop doing it. Purify yourselves. Purify your mouths. Purify yourselves. It's not the unforgivable sin, but if you continue that way, you're going to be destroyed. They make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one mind and purpose. Meaning all the believers, all the churches, not just certain sects. You certain sects agree wholeheartedly with each other. You certain sects love one another. Your certain sects work together for your sectly goal. The church, period. Don't be selfish, period. Don't be selfish with your possessions. Don't be selfish with your members of your body. Give of yourself to your brothers and sisters. Don't be selfish and degrade his health while you block and try not to get yours degraded. No, you feel enough. You feel so less about your neighbor that you'll train and box him and beat him up and give him black eye stuff. You stand there with your arms wide open and just take the punches. Just let him hit you. But you're a coward, and you don't love people as you love yourself. You ducking and blocking and weaving show you don't want to get injury. So why are you trying to give him injury? But there ain't no passage. There ain't no scripture. You ain't got no God, if you understand that. You think you have Christ, but you don't. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Don't let the things you do is for notoriety and fame and lift myself up right quick. Let me outdo you. Let me try to outsing you for the contract. Let me try to outrace you for the sponsorship. Let me try to slam you to the ground, WWE for the belt. Let me do all these things to try to impress others and put myself over you. We're not to have that kind of mindset, period, and nothing. Be humble. What is humble? What it look like? You know, humble is a person that don't think much of themselves. It's a lowly state person. This ain't a boisterous person. Look at me, drawing attention to themselves. That's not a humble person. A humble person is a person that's lowly. Don't think much of themselves. Kind of like the person that kind of walk in the back. All right? And if you're a humble person, not thinking much of yourself, then why would you dedicate yourself to any form of contention and rivalry where the whole purpose is to prove you're better than somebody else? I do it to win. I heard somebody else say, I do it to win. I ain't gonna let you beat me. That's arrogance and pride. Refusal to humble yourself. Think less of yourself to where you won't strive with men to try to prove how much of a superior you are to him, whether it be intellect, strength, speed, whatever. Singing ability. Instead of singing together and glorify the Lord, no. We got to have a sing-off contest. The winner gets this trophy and this money and this prize. So now instead of singing together and honoring the Lord and y'all compliment each other and stuff like that, form like a choir. Choirs form of strong singers and weak singers. But when they all sing together, they all sound strong. All right? Unless they all just weak and can't sing. But in a choir, there's the weaker singers and people that can't sing by themselves in key. But you throw them in a choir, all of a sudden they can sing in key now. But they're singing together. But now, no, you turn to a sing-off. Get a contract. Now you get them up there And now I'll be like, thank the Lord, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me, so I can go to the next round. And in order for me to go to the next round, my brother has to be denied. My brother, we can't share the glory together. I need the glory. It's only one contract. I want it, so I got to beat you. That's not being humble. Thinking of us better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interests. My meal. Ain't nothing wrong with turkey. Yeah, but the feast is offensive. Buy a turkey, put it away, eat it another day. Just avoid this appearance of evil here, and it's evil so you don't offend people, and so you don't associate with a bloody feast. Okay? And then guess what? Just use some wisdom. Probably wait another day. Matter of fact, you could technically eat it like at the dawn of the next day, but eat it at home in private. Don't put no pictures online, because then everybody think you just eating leftovers from Thanksgiving. Don't do that, so you don't be associated with these things. We know you're not really doing it, but you also avoid every appearance of evil. Okay? So don't look out for only your own interests, but take an interest of others too. How they gonna feel about this? If they saw me doing this right here, how they gonna feel about that? If my brother and sister saw me beating somebody up, how they gonna feel about that? How Christ gonna feel about that? How the person I beat up feel? While he laying on the floor, blood come out of his mouth, they gotta rattle him over to the side, take the mouthpiece out so you don't choke in his own blood. You done knocked him out and gave him a brain injury. And you jumping around. Yeah, I want to thank the Lord. I want to thank him. Thank him for the opportunity to win. Yay! Man, God gonna strike you dead if you don't stop that lifestyle. He said, you must, it's a commandment, have the same attitude Christ Jesus had. What was the attitude? And then I'm going to end here. Though he was God, supreme ruler over everything, he don't need nothing. Nobody can give him anything that he ain't got or that he ain't made. All things are his. He's never hungry that he didn't ask you to feed him. Even though Christ said, when you saw me hungry, when you gave me something to eat, you fed me. And the people looked at him and said, what? When we see you hungry and gave you food to eat? Christ said, you do this to the least of my brethren, you done to be. But God, whose spirit don't get hungry like we do. He made the cows, but he got no use of them. He don't eat them. Okay? He don't eat the cows. Now, when he came into a human body, Christ did eat the cows. But he was eating what he made. Ain't nothing that anybody could do or give him that he didn't make. All the angels are his. Good and evil angels. They're all his. They're all under his control. The evil one ain't some loose cannon, go around and do what he wants. He gets permission from the Lord for everything, because nothing under the sun happens unless God appoints it. That's why Christ said to the evil one, he jumped into Judas. He turned and looked at Judas. He's really looking at Satan. He said, he didn't say, hey, what are you doing here? No, he said, he talked like a man with a plan. He said, what you do it quickly. Bro, what kind of plan going on here? What Satan know about that Christ knew about? That Christ saying, go do it. He had no conversation with him. Where did you come from? I'm here to betray you. No. Well, do it. That ain't what happened. They said they were eating at the table. Christ dipped his hand in the bowl, got the bread, break it. Remember, the scripture said when he chose the 12, he knew which one was the devil from the beginning. He chose the devil to be in close communion with him, meaning Judas. Then when I was sitting at the table eating, he didn't process, said, one of you will betray me. All the disciples looking around. Who is it, Lord? Is it me? Is it me? Then he gave him a clue. He said, the one who dips his hand in with me, that's the one. So then said, Satan entered into Judas. Christ looked at Judas and said, what you do it quickly. And Judas got up. Satan entered in him. Christ knew it. And Christ told Satan, go and do. Do what you've been appointed to do. Which is what? Turn him over to the chief priest so he could be put on the cross. I mean, Satan was working for God. Satan's an angel. He's a created being. He got his own little ideas and stuff and why he want to do things, but all his ideas is evil and all his purposes are evil. But he's a learning creature like the rest of us. Angels don't know everything. So he has his ideas, but God has an overarching plan. So Satan was moved to do this evil and betray Christ. That's what he wanted to do from the beginning. Now he's given his opportunity. Christ says, go and do it. Do it quickly. He gets up and do the thing he want to do because he want to have Christ die. Because he think, hey, he going to die and that's it. But God, who controls him, had him deliver him up because no righteous person would do it. So he had to have wicked people do it. Had Satan enter into Judas, he betrayed him, sent him up to them wicked priests, and an evil one working in their hearts, as it said, the spirit that work in the hearts of those that refuse to obey God. So Satan entered into Judas. Judas turns him over to the chief priests. The chief priests are servants of Satan themselves in their own hearts, and they all turn him over to Pilate. Pilate is an unbeliever. He's the servant of Satan too. Yet he washes his hands and says, it's an innocent man. Don't you know I got the power to release you or to have you crucified? And Christ lead him and said, you only got that what you received from my Father in heaven. And then he turns them over to be crucified. All of these people were angels of Satan on different levels. And finally, them Jews that was outside, workers of darkness too. Crucify him. Give us Barabbas. Christ sits up on the cross. The demons are rejoicing. They think their plan's coming to pass. The funny part is, part of the plan is coming to pass. They is having Christ die. He really is going to die. But they thought he was going to stay dead. But then Christ did what is against nature, which is when a man dies, he doesn't come back to life. He doesn't come back to life in this world because it's written, a man should die once, then the judgment. The angels know when a man dies in this life, you don't come back, you know reincarnation. When you die, you meet God and meet your eternal place that you're going to be at. And so the angels know that heaven was prepared from the beginning, and they know that hellfire was prepared from the beginning. And they know it's prepared for them. And we know that because the scripture said when Christ walked by those men that was possessed, the demon said, Jesus of Nazareth, why you come? Why you torment us before the time to torment us? So they know this. That's why the scripture said our enemy, the devil, prowls around like a lion, looking who he can devour. To what? To drag them right along with him in the place that he knows is prepared for him. That's why you must always stay on guard and watch all these corruptions and stuff like that. And so Christ, though he was God, owned everything, rich, ain't lacking nothing. He did not think his equality with God as something to cling to, like he couldn't give up. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He set them riches aside. This rich man set his riches aside. He wasn't so selfish and only thinking about himself. He looked at the poor, which is mankind, who got nothing to offer him. Can't pay him back for nothing. And he took on a humble position of a slave. He took on their same state. Though he wasn't born as a sinner, he was born as a human. Took on a nature 2 levels lower than him. Because you have God, then you have the angels, and then you have men under the angels by nature. So Christ goes 2 steps lower than what he is, truly. He didn't even come as an angel. He took on a form of a human. Dirt, mere dirt. And it said, and was born as a human being. When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God. Think about this, what Christ did. Christ is God, one with God, has the same glory as God the Father that they shared in the beginning, as John said and as Christ said. Yet he wasn't so high-minded about that when he saw man who's made of dirt and it is nothing and could be easily crushed. He sees them. He sets all them privileges and riches aside and comes in a human body as a slave. Come in a human body in a slave form, a human. And he humbled himself so low in obedience to God. Now, by nature, being that he's one with God, there's no obedience. There's no law against Christ. There's no, like in the beginning, there was no, all right, Christ, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt honor the Lord by keeping this feast day, bring this sacrifice, go to Jerusalem. Like there was none of that. Yet he takes on a form where, in his natural form where there is no rules, because against the spirit there's no law. He takes on a form where the people in whose form he's taking on are subject to rules. And so he subjects himself in obedience to God under the law, born of a woman, and he was doing all those things his father commanded. Then it said he died, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on the cross, even though he wasn't really a criminal. So not only is he rich, he laid the riches aside, took on a slave position, and humbled himself so low, he became obedient to something that has no authority over him by nature. Because God can't die. Because God is light and there's no darkness in him. There's no death in him. He is life. So by nature, Christ can't die. So he took on a slave nature that could die and became obedient to death. Something that got no reign over him naturally. And died a criminal's death on the cross. Therefore, since he humbled himself so low like that, God elevated him to the place of highest honor. So Christ showed, this is how we know competitive sports is evil. Here's why, when we look at Christ. Christ didn't become our champion by outdoing us and being and showing how much more strength he got than us, or intellect or speed or whatever. He didn't become our champion that way, the way the heathens become champions, where they strive against their opponents. We were God's opponents. We were his enemies. Christ came down and shared in the same human being state as his enemies. And he didn't come and beat you up. He didn't come and outrun you. He didn't come and do any of that stuff y'all do to try to get championships. He became like his opponent, worked with his opponent, for his opponent, died for his opponent, so that his opponent could share in his glory together with them. This is how we know competitive sports is from the evil one and not from God. When we look at Christ, we see it. It don't follow his pattern. And because he lowered himself, and instead of striving against his opponent, he saved his opponent's life by giving his up. And because he did that, God elevated him. That's how he became champion. Not by beating us up, not by outdoing us in some kind of way, not by boasting, being arrogant and sending up the ranks. He didn't anybody do that. He became our champion by sacrificing himself, giving of himself to his enemies, for his enemies. And it says, and because he did that, God elevated him to the place of highest honor. That's how you become a champion. That's how you win. That's how you get the glory. That's how you win the Christian race. Not by trying to outdo people and having a selfish mindset and strife and contention. It's by complete sacrifice, even unto death. And because of that, God elevated him above the highest place of honor and gave him the name above all other names. That at the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow. Not to what that dude name is that did the Hercules hold, that Felix dude, when it was like, stand up, throw your hands in the air, bow down 3 times. And they all hail Felix, all hail Felix, all hail Felix. Because he held the stupid pillars for a long time, beat the world record, and now he's being worshipped. Everybody's going to bow to Christ. Everybody's going to bow to the knee to worship Christ, not because Christ beat them up, not because Christ stronger than them and he wanted a reason to boast about it. So in order to get this glory, he had to beat us up. He had to be smarter than us. He had to do this. It ain't because of that. It's because he sacrificed himself completely, even unto death. He lowered himself so low that God rose him up above everybody. That's how you become a champion. That at the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow in heaven and on earth, under the earth. The heathens who fight back and forth, striving with each other, trying to get championships and stuff, guess what? That's why the apostle said they do it for vainglory. You know why he said they do that? Because when they do that, the only applause they get is from men. All they get is from men, and it only lasts but so long. Because guess what? Who won the championship last year? I think it was the Warriors, right? The Warriors won the basketball NBA championship last year. That was only a few months ago. Nobody's glorifying them anymore. Matter of fact, I saw the post. They got put out the playoffs. So ain't nobody esteeming them as champions, even though they won last year. Now everybody's waiting to see who's going to be the champion this year. Who's going to win it now? Who win it now? And when they win it, they'll be all happy. Confetti fall from the sky. They kiss the statues. They do their little parade, beer and all that stuff, modest women, all that stuff going on. They got all that stuff going on. And everybody's like, yeah. 2 months later, preseason training camp. Who's going to win this year? Nobody even care that y'all was champions anymore. Nobody's esteeming you no more. The angels don't rejoice for you. You ain't getting nothing from them. And God ain't rejoicing you. You ain't getting nothing from him. The only hand clap you get and only hand clap you getting for your hypocrisies is from men. The demons are laughing and God is mad. Other men congratulate you. But if you follow the pattern of Christ, you're going to get the hand clap of men, angels, and God. That at the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue shall declare that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. And we be part of Christ's body, and we shall reign with him, and all things be put on our feet and subject to us. If you lower yourself like Christ lowered himself. But if you dedicate your life to vainglory, I'm trying to show you better than everybody else, and you're beating them up for a living, and you're trying to out-sing them for a living, and you're trying to out-fish them for a living, you're trying to out-rent them for a living, you're trying to outlive them for a living. There's everything just serving yourself, notoriety, fame, fortune. If you keep on following after the ways of this world, the cares of this life, you're going to be destroyed. You must lower yourself like Christ did. So I'm tired of the back and forth. I'm tired of the legal, think what you want to think. The Lord's children will be revealed in the last day. So you brothers, sisters, man, y'all be encouraged. Take this very serious. It's not a game. This ain't about stupid Mother's Day and Father's Day. That was just the thing that set everything off. I wanted to show you all the history about it. Even the founders were opposed to it because the feast days that you know as Mother's Day and Father's Day is full of corruption. God hates it. I'm not going to back off of that, even if you block me into 2 outer abyss. Oh, well. So this is very serious. If anybody got a question, okay, not a foolish one, but if anybody got a question, the email is TheChurchInTexas@gmail.com. And me and the Deep will get with you as soon as we can. But you see the example. That's why I wanted to end it with the example of Christ and what he did. And by looking at Christ, we see the evils of this world, how they don't follow his character and ways. And therefore, we avoid those things. Prepare your mind for this. The apostle said, Christ suffered physical pain. He said, therefore, prepare yourselves to likewise. You got to prepare yourself to suffer physical pain in the name of the Lord. Some of you are going to be thrown into prisons for standing against society norms and following the Lord. Some of you are going to be insulted, maligned even by those who call themselves brothers and sisters. You're going to be all kind of stuff for following the way of the Lord. Some of you are going to get beat. Prepare your minds for suffering. Because if you want to be glorified with Christ, you must suffer for him. It's a requirement. It's going to happen. And when it happens and when you're suffering and all this kind of stuff, take it with great joy. Because it's an opportunity for your endurance to grow, and what you need to inherit eternal life. He that endures to the end shall be saved. And so how the Lord make sure that you saved in the end? By enduring you, by having you constantly get beat, by you constantly, as the apostle said, our bodies are constantly beat that we may share in the death of Christ. That's why you keep suffering and suffering and suffering. Not because, when you're obeying the Lord and you're going through these things, it's because the Lord has chastised you to keep you humble and so that your endurance can grow, so that you endure all these things until the end and be saved. All right, stop whining and we suffering and it ain't right. It ain't right. That's the whole point. You're suffering for injustices done to you. Because it's God's will that you suffer for doing good, not for doing wrong. Of course, all Christian sufferings should be because we're just being mistreated. But understanding that, we're not going to gripe and moan about it all day long and try to stop it. We're going to go to war, pick up arms. We're going to revolt. No, because through these things, our endurance grows. The very formula we need to inherit eternal life. Therefore, when these situations happen, they don't feel good, but we must encourage each other and find reasons of joy in it because the Lord has appointed it because we are his dear children and we're sharing in the death of Christ. So remember these things, brothers and sisters. Anybody got questions, reach out through the email. But love y'all. And Lord's will, talk to y'all. It's Wednesday now. So unless I get some email and need to address something earlier, Lord's will, Sunday. We'll be back at 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time with the rest of the brothers and sisters in the community for the broadcast of the gathering. So other than that, love y'all. Peace.